Let's continue the conversation now with Texas Governor Rick Perry. So you've had experience not only as governor of Texas, but as an Air Force pilot. You are a military veteran, so you understand the concept of national security. Our country at this point in time,
well,
our current commander-in-chief, how would you gauge his performance?
Well, certainly, if I was giving him a grade that you would see in one of our schools, I'm not sure it would be a passing grade. The president seems to be feckless when it comes to sending the message to our allies that we're going to be there with them, and that's the same message that our enemies, those that don't have America's best interest, are hearing from this administration as well. When you think about Libya, when you think about Benghazi, when you look at Egypt, when you see what we've done to Israel and the leaderships turning their back on one of our best allies in that region, when you see Syria, when you look at the Ukraine and the Crimea, and you look at the way that they're giving legitimacy to the Iranians, that is not a passing grade in anyone's
And in terms
estimation.
of roll call at school, to continue that analogy of letter grades, the president was absent from the unity rally following those attacks in Paris. Was it a mistake for the president not to be there?
Well, I think the message that was sent, when you see Merkel, when you see Netanyahu, when you see the other leaders of the NATO countries, and America to not be there, to America's leader to not be there, standing up and sending the clear message that Western values are going to be defended, Western values that the world needs to be strong about. And for him not to have been there, I think, was a huge mistake, not only politically. I think it was a huge mistake from the standpoint of sending a message to those in the Islamic terrorist world that we are going to stand together, we are going to defeat you, and the Western values that the world needs are going to continue to be supported.
Governor Perry, it is a principle of military leadership, and certainly a president is commander-in-chief. The first thing is take care of your troops, the troops you command. We turn to veterans. You're a veteran. You take a look at what's happened with VA healthcare. What should be done to help our veterans returning from the battlefield, to help those veterans who depend on VA healthcare?
We made a promise to men and women that held up their hand and took the oath to defend this country, up to and including the loss of their lives. And we said that we were going to take care of them and we were going to take care of their families. And we have failed. The Veterans Administration debacle, if there's one connection here, if I might, when you talk about health care and the delivery of health care and a Washington-centric health care, you want to know whether or not nationalized health care works? Go ask a veteran, and they will tell you that by and large it doesn't. With that said, we have an opportunity with Bob McDonnell as the new Secretary of the Veterans Administration, an individual who I know. I know he has the love of these men and women. He's an old West Pointer, 30 years of CEO, ended up as CEO of Procter & Gamble. If he's given the authority and the resources, I think he can get the VA headed in the right direction. But it's going to be a big project, and I will suggest to you a lot of the solutions dealing with the VA are to be privatized to allow those veterans to be able to get that health care at their local clinics rather than having to travel, in some cases, hundreds of miles to a
Governor,
Veterans Administration
in our closing
hospital.
minute, what is the greatest lesson you have learned about leadership that has served as a life lesson for you?
Well, the greatest lesson that I've learned is that you have to be very consequential, make decisions, to go forward, to analyze. But the most important thing that a leader, whether it's the President of the United States or whether it's the governor of a state, is choosing men and women who have the experience, who have the known background to go and perform well. I think if there's one thing that I would criticize this president on, is because he has put too many people into places that matter. that didn't have the experience of running things successfully prior to their going into
Governor Rick Perry,
service
we
for
are
our
so
country.
pleased that you've chosen to spend some time with us. We hope you'll come back again and visit us on Newsmax TV, especially if you reach that important decision to run for the presidency again in 2016.
JD, thank you, and hopefully we will have many opportunities to discuss
Looking
the
forward to
issues
it.
as
Thank
we go
you, sir.
forward. God bless you.
God bless you too, sir. Texas Governor and potential presidential candidate Rick Perry. We thank him for his time this morning, and we thank you for your time. We hope you'll stay with us as we visit with Newsmax White House correspondent John Gizzi. The view from Washington on this busy Thursday ahead on America's Forum.
You know, just before retirement, I had that uh-oh moment. It is not a great feeling. I worked hard, I saved money, but then I realized I wasn't going to have enough.
If you're age 62 or older and facing a financial gap, your home's equity could provide greater financial independence. With recent changes to reverse mortgages, it's more important than ever to make a decision based on current facts rather than outdated information. If you think you know everything there is to know about reverse mortgages, the truth is you probably don't.
And I have to admit, I was skeptical at first based on what I thought I knew, but then I realized how misinformed I really was.
Many people are surprised to learn that today's reverse mortgages have been redesigned and can provide greater help to consumers. As a result, they can be an effective option to help fund the retirement you want. Call Reverse Mortgage Funding today for a free copy of Closing the Gap. It has the most current information about new products, including those designed to help you extend your retirement funds or to purchase a new home.
My reverse mortgage gave me the benefits of a home equity line of credit without the monthly loan payments, and they've made the process really easy.
Retirement and retirees have changed, and so have reverse mortgages. You owe it to yourself to see how today's reverse mortgages are meeting the needs of a new retirement generation. To find out how, call Reverse Mortgage Funding now and get the facts.
We based our decision on current information, not hearsay, which was really a smart move for us. It changed our entire retirement outlook.
Call toll-free 1-877-272-3738 for your free copy of Closing the Gap. There's no obligation, so call 1-877-272-3738 today. That's 1-877-272-3738. Loan terms and conditions apply. Visit reverseminded.com for details.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-804-6922. That's 1-800-804-6922. Call now, 1-800-804-6922. For a free brochure, call 1-800-804-6922.
You feel bad, so bad for the dad. But Willie, if he hasn't left the house in 20-something years, that's a good warning sign.
Yeah, he's not that good a kid, Dad. I understand Dad's not feeling great about what happened. The police did say this guy's hardly a model terrorist, sort of reinforcing what the father said. But, as they said, you can't leave the guy untouched. If he's talking to informants about blowing up the Capitol, you got to do something about it. And it looks like great work by the FBI.
Yeah.
With Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back to America's Forum. My old congressional colleague, Joe Scarborough, and his panelists there on MSNBC's Morning Joe, reacting to comments about the father of the alleged ISIS sympathizer who was arrested by the FBI yesterday, accused of plotting to blow up the United States Capitol.
Yeah, this on the same day that 4 senior Secret Service officials have been reassigned to, quote, gain a fresh perspective on how they conduct business.
For this morning's View from the Hill, we're pleased to be joined by Newsmax chief political columnist and White House correspondent John Gizzi, who joins us from Newsmax Washington. John, it's good to see you replete in your fedora and ready to answer questions. This news...
Fire away, J.D.
Happy to do it. And the FBI, metaphorically speaking, pulled the trigger yesterday on this alleged ISIS sympathizer. When this news broke, what was the reaction around Washington?
Well, once again, it was a case of it can happen here. Coming on the tails of what happened in Paris 1 week ago, there is a growing nervousness in the nation's capital about will there be a shooting or a bombing here? And frankly, apprehending terrorists ahead of time, as was the case with the shoe bomber before he created a disaster in Detroit a few years ago, there's a collective sigh of relief. And let me say that while there is security, there's also lucidity here. We are learning about this and in the process feeling a bit more secure because our government is at least sharing the information, carrying on a policy that began with President Bush and his Homeland Security Secretary, Tom Ridge.
And John, as you were talking, we were showing an image of 20-year-old Christopher Lee Cornell. He's the man that FBI arrested and is accused of that attack in D.C. So without going into detail, there are now even more security, or there now more security enhancements that have been put in place since those Paris attacks?
Well, one would think so. Obviously, the Department of Homeland Security does not tip its hand, nor does the FBI, nor does the Secret Service here until after the fact. You know, so many of the things that could have become 9/11 Part 2 in the previous decade, we knew about only after the plot had been foiled. I imagine that's the case now, and I imagine when it comes to the security procedures, it's a matter of that's for our law enforcement officials to know and the terrorists to find out.
You mentioned the Secret Service. Obviously,
yes,
the Secret Service not so secret anymore, at least in terms of more personnel changes or a shakeup. The report that 4 senior officials have been reassigned in this reorganization after several high-profile breaches, including that man who scaled the fence and made it on into the White House, as well as the convicted felon who was on that same elevator with the president during the president's trip to the CDC in Atlanta. With all that going on, was this shakeup expected?
Yes, it was. I recall when the Secret Service director resigned after the incidents you mentioned, J.D., and the panel was created to reform the Secret Service, everyone expected that it would get a complete airbrushing, cleaning, and fumigating, and that's essentially what has happened right now. And of course, the way is paved for a director who does not come from the ranks but is an outsider, something I predicted on this program some weeks ago.
John, the topic of morale at the agency came up this morning on Morning Joe. We want you to listen and get your reaction.
How big a shock to the system of the Secret Service was that?
Well, I mean, it was absolutely humiliating. I mean, even the fairly defensive Secret Service leadership had to admit that this was the lowest they had ever fallen. I interviewed some former senior officials who said they literally couldn't turn on the television. They were so demoralized.
So, John, is it the lowest they've ever fallen?
No. Certainly when the agency was being put together, in the 30s during the era of bank robberies across state lines and the Depression, causing fears that the country would break apart to a degree not seen since the Civil War. That's when the Secret Service really had some problems, and at that point they did turn to an outsider, Frank Wilson, who was a former Internal Revenue agent. He formed the structure that is the modern Secret Service, and in fact, and JD will love this, his exploits were the subject of a movie featuring the late Glenn Ford.
Well, I would think that in the wake of what transpired November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, to John F. Kennedy, was there not a corresponding shakeup in Secret Service personnel after that horrible event?
Not to the degree that there was in the 30s and not to the degree today. And remember something, when the Secret Service had directors in the 60s, again, they came from the ranks of the service. One other thing to think about, JD, when the special panel was formed late last year to look into reforms of the Secret Service, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest told us that it would have its report completed by December 14th. Well, nearly a month has passed since December 14th. They're way beyond deadline. So I would imagine more reforms are coming, more major changes. That's a report to be watched very carefully.
We will watch that. We should also note that for his part, President Obama has said publicly he has complete faith in the men and women of the Secret Service, but that's a message that's come out of the Oval Office where now it appears that actions, decisive actions, have been taken to achieve that change. John Gizzi, from Newsmax Washington, as always, sir, we appreciate your time and your insights and, of course, that trademark fedora. It's great to have you, sir.
I won't come on the air without it, JD.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be looking for you next time. Keep that hat in place, and America's Forum continues right after this update.
And topping your Newsmax Now update, the FBI arrests an Ohio man for allegedly plotting a terror attack in Washington, D.C. Authorities say 20-year-old Christopher Lee Cornell wanted to set off pipe bombs at the U.S. Capitol. The suspect is a recent convert to Islam and tweeted statements showing support for ISIS. Now in France, hundreds of mourners gathered today for the funerals of staffers killed during the attack on Charlie Hebdo. Al-Qaeda's branch in Yemen claims responsibility. Meanwhile, the Pentagon releases 5 Yemeni prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. 4 men are being sent to Oman and another to Estonia. And now 2 Americans are the first, take a look, to free climb. Can you imagine? Yosemite's El Capitan. The pair used safety ropes, but no climbing tools, just their hands and feet to scale the 3,000-foot wall. We'll have another update coming your way at the top of the hour.
Technology gives you security. Technology gives you control. And now, technology gives you home security and control in a new and revolutionary way. Introducing Plug and Protect from LiveWatch Security, an easy-to-use wireless security system customized just for your home, controlled from any smartphone, tablet, or computer, and monitored by professionals 24/7. Go to livewatch.com to get Plug and Protect interactive security delivered to your door. Arm or disarm your system from anywhere. Lock or unlock your doors. Turn your lights off or on. Even oversee your home with live video. With Plug and Protect, your security system is configured, tested, and then shipped directly to your home. No wires, no installers, just peel and place. Go to livewatch.com because with Plug and Protect, we customize your security to fit your home. The Plug and Protect secret is technology. With technology, you buy airline tickets without a travel agent. You trade stocks without a stockbroker. Now, with Plug and Protect, you can protect your home without an installer, pushy salesman, or a long contract.
Every day, the kids got out of school before I left work. I worried whether they were home okay. But then I found Plug and Protect from LiveWatch. And now I see when they open the front door, so I know they're home safe. LiveWatch helps me stay in touch and in control.
Founded by a paramedic in Kansas, serving tens of thousands of homes in all 50 states, and trusted by policemen and firemen throughout the country, LiveWatch is the new choice for home security. No door-to-door salespeople, no messy installers, no long-term contracts, just plug and protect. Now you too can enjoy the home security and control you want for your family. Try Plug and Protect in your home for a full 90 days. Included is our hassle-free guarantee. Go to livewatch.com. Plug and Protect is not available in stores, so go to livewatch.com right now. That's livewatch.com.
Look at these photos of real, unretouched before and after results thanks to Lifestyle Lift.
Keep watching to see how you get a free gift from Lifestyle Lift.
The world's most experienced facial rejuvenation expert.
With almost 100 caring physicians. Our proven minimally invasive rejuvenation process and lasers can help you smooth away angry frown lines, tired eyes, or loose skin.
For a more youthful, radiant look.
I am almost 68 years old. And look what Lifestyle Lift has done for me. You can have the same thing.
Then smile as you snap your next photo or walk into that special event.
You deserve it.
Lifestyle Lift, because you deserve it.
Call or go online at lifestylelift.com now.
Call now to receive your free information with real success stories from Lifestyle Lift and get $250 in instant savings.
Plus, get a free facial analysis and gift.
Call 1-800-800-4603 or go online to lifestylelift.com.
Have you written a book and want it published? We print and digitize your book and place your book for sale online and in bookstores everywhere. We'll get your book into bookstores now.
Call for your free author submission kit at 1-800-714-7935.
Enough is enough. By their votes last November, the people made clear that they wanted more accountability from this president. And by our votes here today, we will heed their will, and we will keep our oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
Alongside Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back to America's Forum. Miranda, I may have had some run-ins with John Boehner over the years, but I have to tell you, yesterday, in the well of the House, closing out debate on defunding the president's unconstitutional amnesty, I thought the speaker was spot on.
Right. I mean, that attempt to poison the speaker didn't stop him whatsoever. He was very adamant there when he said enough is enough. Do you think that people are finally seeing the leader that they wanted to see?
Well,
him?
you know, it's a
because
good
he was
question.
receiving a lot of backlash recently.
And that's why we're bringing in our next guest, another one of my former congressional colleagues, Michael Patrick Flanagan, who today is president of Flanagan Consulting in Washington, D.C. He joins us from Newsmax, Washington. As you can see, live television,
It's all
actions
right.
being taken to get that done. So
We're working on it.
we believe, Michael Patrick, you can hear us correctly? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Good.
I'm just hearing you now, JD. There you go.
Okay, great.
pal. Well, great. Let's talk some about that vote yesterday, and specifically Speaker Boehner summing up the debate.
What a terrific speech. Huh? He quoted all 22 times, and you can see Nancy Pelosi squirming with every new quotation. It was well worth watching.
Overall, with the House Republican Conference and that unpleasantness that marked the start of this new Congress, where the Speaker faced the biggest uprising for an incumbent Speaker and an incumbent majority party since the Civil War era. Did that speech and that floor action yesterday on Homeland Security, did that heal the breach in the conference?
Well, I think the conference is not really broken. I don't think there's a breach to heal. I think there's a strong divergence of opinion. I think the Republican right, the Tea Party guys who are right on almost everything, and who the polls support as being right on almost everything, can't be ignored and won't be ignored, partially because of their numbers, partially because they're right. And I think Speaker Boehner agrees with them 95% of the time. And on the three occasions I can think of where they diverge, it's more in degree than in absolute view on it. And I think Boehner is going to be with them on most everything they need done.
Do you think this got him back into good graces, though? Because it was just, a couple weeks ago when there was like 9 people vying to unseat Boehner?
Yeah, I think some of the leaders of the Republican right sometimes get deeply involved in the need for a purge more than a need for a victory. And I think their own membership pulls them back, and that's why there are only 9 votes instead of 100 votes against John. And I think that they all remember they're Republicans, they all agree most of the time on most of the issues, and they'll move forward together pretty happily.
Well, as you analyze that, Mike, I just have to point out that last Congress, the Speaker got very exasperated and went into press conferences and engaged in some name calling against Tea Party conservatives. Isn't a principle of politics dance with them what brung you? Didn't the Speaker
exactly
start bringing this on himself with his frustration there?
I think maybe yes. There's an old way of doing business in Washington, and that's to build coalitions and compromise. A lot of the Tea Party folks, the conservatives, are new to this. They don't follow that. They think if we have the votes, let's vote and let's win and let's cram it down. You wind up often with bad legislation doing that, even though you're coming from a position of being absolutely right on the issue. The legislation, though, is made of words, not of thoughts, and so you have to have lots of opinion. Boehner, I think, is kind of coming into his own with that group and learning to work with them better, and they're learning to work with him. And I think they're going to work together better in this Congress than they did in the last. But you're right. The Speaker did bring on some of this himself, and I think everybody's learned their lessons, and they'll play better this year.
Everybody has learned their lessons. We shall see, Michael Patrick Flanagan, and we're going to see you on the other side of the break, because there's another relationship important among Republicans, the relationship of the House to the Senate. And given the proclivity of some senators to move away from the results of elections and proclaim their independence from the party and from the caucus, it could be interesting there. Tell you what, Mike, you stay right there. We will be back to talk with Michael Patrick Flanagan about more going on Capitol Hill right after we take this time out here on America's Forum.
The psoriasis on my feet was so bad that it felt as if I were walking on broken glass.
If you suffer from psoriasis, you know it can feel like a curse.
I was hiding in the house all the time. I didn't want to be out with the public at all, didn't want people seeing me.
If you're tired of the pain and embarrassment of your psoriasis and would like to take control of it, then you want Extract by Photomedics, the global leader in targeted therapy for psoriasis. Extract can clear your psoriasis in weeks with no harmful side effects. Extract treats all psoriasis areas. The in-office treatment takes no time at all.
After the treatment, often I hear, I couldn't even feel anything. Are you done?
You do not feel a thing.
She'd go zzz, 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 and then it would be done.
Extract is cleared by the FDA and recommended by over 2,000 dermatologists.
I was seeing results within like 2 or 3 treatments.
Extract is covered by all major insurance companies and Medicare.
One of the worst areas was my right elbow, and after about 2 months, as you can see, it's totally clear.
Act now and you can qualify to be reimbursed for any copays until you see results.
It feels great. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, now I know how everyone else feels that has a healthy scalp.
So call now for your no-cost treatment at an Extract clinic conveniently located near you. We can see you right away.
For all the folks who have given up hope on their psoriasis and felt like there is no solution, I would love for them to come in and give our Extract treatment a try and see what a difference it can make in their lives.
Stop suffering from psoriasis. Live clear, live free with Extract.
Call 1-800-741-0957 for your no-cost Extract treatment at a location near you, or go to useextract.com right now. So call 1-800-741-0957.
Even though Instaflex is now the #1 selling joint supplement at GNC, there are still too many people suffering with joint discomfort who haven't experienced the Instaflex difference. So now the makers of Instaflex are on a mission to give out as many complimentary 2-week samples of Instaflex as we can in the next 24 hours. These complimentary samples are not available in stores, and to guarantee your sample, you must call now, 1-800-958-9364. Instaflex is #1 at GNC because it's our most powerful joint relief formula ever. In a clinical study at a major university, Instaflex was shown to significantly reduce joint discomfort. Experience the difference now with your complimentary sample. Instaflex is available at GNC, Walgreens, and these fine retailers, but you can only get your complimentary 2-week sample by calling 1-800-958-9364. We want to give out as many complimentary Instaflex samples as we can in the next 24 hours, so call and guarantee yours now. 1-800-958-9364.
You can join millions of Americans turning off the old media for Newsmax TV. We're in 35 million homes on DirecTV Channel 349 and Dish Channel 223. And we're available online at NewsmaxTV.com or on Roku and Google TV. Plus, you can watch us anywhere in the world. Just download our free Newsmax TV app from your iPhone or Android. Do it today and find out why millions are tuning in Newsmax TV. For real news, better talk.
And go ahead.
Just going to say welcome back. Miranda's got a developing story
I
for
do.
us.
I'm just excited to tell everybody. New rules taking effect tomorrow would allow Americans to travel more easily to Cuba and would let travelers use credit cards and spend money there. The Obama administration just made that announcement just a short time ago. Wasn't meaning that I'm excited about the story.
No, you're
the
just
specific
eager,
topic, just eager to tell our viewers.
Eager to
that we are
tell.
working
Of
on
course. That's why you got in this business in the
That's
first place.
right. That's right.
And that's why, in this business, we're going to call again on my former colleague in the House of Representatives, former Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan of Illinois, joining us from Newsmax Washington. So, Mike, these travel restrictions lifted by the administration starting tomorrow. No surprise, I guess, in lieu of the announcement, a month ago by the president that he wanted to reopen diplomatic relations with Cuba.
Yeah, it's a sad business. For decades, we've worked hard to try and bring what Kennedy called that imprisoned island to heal. We've kept them broke and kept the government afraid, having to turn to communist Russia and other for help. They've barely been supported over that time. They've teetered on the edge for years. We've pumped millions into Radio Marti and an assortment of other ways to make sure that the Cuban people know that we're on their side. And then, on what essentially is the 1-yard line before Castro can jump into a grave and his brother with him, we surrender and say, okay, we're going to open relations and basically give in to the fact that you're a dictatorship and we'll deal with you anyway. I don't understand it. I don't think anyone really does understand it. And hopefully the Senate will find its way on this and will be able to show that it has what it takes to stand up to the president. The Senate is more capable of dealing with these foreign policy matters than the House, and hopefully they can do this and come to good agreement on it.
So, Michael, you see this as a surrender, but would it be fair to say, because some would argue that the Embargo Act never worked?
I don't agree with that. If the embargo had not worked, Cuba would be a flourishing place today, taking its place among the dictatorships of the world with what George W. Bush called the axis of evil, and it's not. It's a broke little place where they have to imprison people regularly, where they have to have executions regularly to keep in line. They don't flourish at all, and it's partially because they can't find any friends in the world, and it's majorly because we keep it that way. If we open up relations with it and legitimize it, and this is what the Cubans in this country fear and the rest of us do, then we endorse it and we endorse their behavior. And we can't do that. It's morally wrong, and it makes no sense from a foreign policy standpoint.
And what was the deal? We were supposed to see freedom for, 50-plus political prisoners from the Castro brothers? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've been released yet, have they?
No, and it's funny. I talked with my friend George Ryan, the former governor of Illinois. Had some trouble, and after he was after his time as Secretary of State, and he's back now with us. And he was a big fan of Cuba at the time, and he caused a lot of ruffles in the Republican ranks about his wanting to normalize relations with Cuba. And I asked him about this, and George said, no, it was only after certain preconditions were met that he was even remotely interested in doing something like that, having trade with them. This president doesn't seem to be interested in that. He did preconditions, who cares about that? We just want normalized relations with folks that he thinks we ought to be dealing with. The president has never fully articulated to my satisfaction why Cuba holds such interest for him, and I'd like to hear why we need to have normalized relations with that vicious dictatorship. I don't know why, and I don't think anyone else can state why.
And certainly I wouldn't offer a response in defense of the president other than to say, and you know this as someone who grew up in Chicago, when the president was able to use that Cook County political machine and really take it nationwide to say he was going to fundamentally change America, whatever we think of the decisions, he has moved to fundamentally change America, from socialized medicine to trade with Cuba, and now to a much more cozy relationship with the Iranians, who of course are seeking nuclear weapons. Michael Patrick Flanagan, as you lay that out, a whole lot of other things we could talk about, but our time is short. Mike, we thank you for joining us from Washington, D.C. When we come back, aviation expert Todd Curtis about that ill-fated Air Asia flight and its black boxes.
Savvy investors know the old rules no longer apply. The days of simply investing in your favorite fund are over. Today you need to know which companies are poised for growth and when. That's why investors turn to Opening Bell Report, your personal resource for covering the most dynamic, fast-moving microcap stocks. Each week, Opening Bell Report provides undiscovered, hand-picked microcap stock picks, exclusive research, recent news, and the services of your own personal trading coach. Call now and you'll receive our free 52-page Guide to Trading Stocks. We'll also assign you your very own personal trading coach who will teach you step by step how to make money trading stocks. And when you call right now, you'll be eligible to win a $50,000 trading account. Call now to receive our free guide, personal coach, and a chance to win a $50,000 trading account.
Call 888-406-4664 now.
Every day, thousands of animals throughout America are neglected, tortured, and often killed. But you can help stop this horrible abuse by supporting the Humane Society of the United States. With your generous donation, you can be a partner in our ongoing fight to end unspeakable cruelty, rescue these innocent animals, and give them the love and care they so desperately deserve. For just $19 a month, you can join the Humane Society of the United States in our fight to eliminate animal abuse everywhere.
Call in the next 20 minutes to join our fight. We'll send you this official team shirt so everyone will know you're supporting the fight against animal cruelty. And we'll also send you a free subscription to our award-winning magazine, All Animals.
No matter what you can afford, please call the number on your screen right now or visit us online to fight animal cruelty with your donation. If you love animals, if these images disturb you, then please help us end this senseless cruelty and abuse right now. Please don't wait. Your donation today could be the difference between life and death for these helpless creatures. No matter what you can afford, please call the number on your screen right now or visit us online to fight animal cruelty with your donation.
Call now, 1-877-837-7681, and get your free official team shirt and magazine subscription. That's 1-877-837-7681 for your free team shirt and magazine subscription.
With Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth back on America's Forum. Now, I was wondering aloud with Mike Flanagan a few minutes ago about the fate of those 53 political prisoners in Cuba. According to the State Department, the State Department is saying now those prisoners have been released, thus the relief to the travel restrictions taking effect tomorrow from the U.S. to Cuba. So, wanted to get that straight.
Thanks very much for that information. And speaking of travel, let's listen to David Molko on CNN with the very latest on the recovery efforts of that Air Asia Flight 8501.
The plan now, according to search and rescue officials, to send divers down at first light if the weather conditions permit, and that's a big if. The weather here has been governing the pace of this search for the past couple of weeks. Divers will begin to pull out bodies, a very grim task, but a necessary one for the families who continue to wait for news of their loved ones.
And as that sets the scene, let's call on Todd Curtis, aviation safety expert and president of airsafe.com. Todd, we very much appreciate your time. Granted, every accident can be different. There are different factors involved. Did you anticipate an end like this one when this plane was reported missing?
Well, unfortunately, in the first few hours, there was no reports of the airplane diverting to another field. There were no emergency messages indicating that the crew was trying to have some sort of controlled landing. So unfortunately, I was afraid that when I first heard about this, that it would end up being a crash either on land or at sea.
Todd, how important is it to recover that fuselage?
Depends on what the nature of the event was. Of course, they have both of the black boxes.
Right.
They've already read out the flight data recorder, and they'll soon do that with the cockpit voice recorder. If it indicates that it is something that doesn't have to do with the aircraft, that is, for example, if it indicates there was a decision situation in the cockpit that led to the crash, then it may not be necessary to recover wreckage. But if it turns out there's some sort of mechanical or system failure, they may have to go to great lengths to get the wreckage from the bottom of the ocean.
So wreckage recovery is one thing. We understand, Todd, that those black boxes now have been recovered. How long do you think it will take for investigators to adequately analyze them and come up with the needed information?
Depending on the nature of what went on with that flight, it could take up to several months or over a year to analyze the data from those black boxes, as well as other data. For example, the maintenance records of the aircraft, even the design records of the aircraft or the aircraft systems. Again, it depends on where the evidence takes them. This could be a fairly quick investigation, taking on the order of several weeks, or a very long investigation, taking over a year.
Just based on your experience, what do you think happened? Do you think this was weather-related, human error?
It's more likely that it's a weather and decision-related issue than it may be a system-related issue. I say this in part because the A320, which has been flying for several decades, has tens of millions of flight hours of experience. And although it has had several accidents in the past, it isn't an aircraft model that's prone to sudden unexpected crashes. I suspect that if something did happen to this aircraft, it may not be something exotic. It may be something that's fairly well understood.
Todd, I believe one of the websites, Gateway Pundit, had a blog entry yesterday claiming that the last words heard from the pilot were Allahu Akbar. And of course, we associate that with terror, but given the profile of the pilots, would that, in another sense, just be considered like a prayer, given the spiritual dispensation of the pilot in command of that aircraft?
Well, given that fact about the pilot, it's not surprising. But also, I'd have to caution your viewers that Gateway Pundit is not part of the official investigation. It's the Indonesian government authorities who are the head of that investigation. And unless and until they release a transcript of the cockpit voice recorder, I would take any other purported sayings from the cockpit with a huge grain of salt.
Fair enough. That's why we wanted to ask you about it. Todd Curtis, aviation safety expert and president of airsafe.com. Thanks so much. We'll continue to monitor that story. And Hour 2 of America's Forum is coming right up here on Newsmax TV.
Hi, I'm Matt McCoy. How long have you had your car insurance? I ask because I had mine for over 20 years. Before I switched and saved hundreds with the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford.
I was with my previous insurance for 30 years, but they could not compete with the Hartford.
People 50 and over could save hundreds of dollars when they switch.
I had done a lot of comparison shopping. The rate was like half of what I was paying.
$404 is the average amount folks save when they switch to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford. You know, it makes me wonder why everyone 50 and over hasn't switched.
9 out of 10 AARP members who switch to the Hartford from companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Geico all get a lower rate with the Hartford. So call 1-800-684-1685 or go to gohartfordauto.com for your free quote. If you're not already an AARP member, the Hartford can help you join in minutes.
Let me tell you what else the Hartford does. They promise not to drop you, even if you're in an accident. It's called lifetime renewability, and it's included with your policy.
It's a great feeling to know that they're not going to drop you for that reason.
And if by chance you're ever injured in an accident, the Hartford has a benefit called Recover Care. This will help cover the cost of having someone do your grocery shopping, your house cleaning, lawn care, even walk your dog.
They were there when we got the insurance, and they were there when we needed it, and we really appreciate that.
Save $404 on average, get lifetime renewability, and Recover Care. Call the Hartford at 1-800-684-1685 now. That's 1-800-684-1685. Or go to gohartfordauto.com today. Get this free calculator just for requesting a quote.
You want to attend college so you can pursue your goals, but you may not be able to afford it. At ITT Tech, we're doing something to put a degree financially within your reach. The new ITT Tech Opportunity Scholarship is now available to eligible students who qualify. We believe education is a sound investment. Make a choice that can make a difference.
Call now to find out about the new Opportunity Scholarship from ITT Tech. 800-453-0319. 800-453-0319.
Attention veterans. If you're active military or retired, you're entitled to a money-saving government mortgage program called the VA Home Loan. PennyMac, one of the nation's largest VA mortgage lenders, is offering a way to lower your interest rate and monthly payment with no out-of-pocket cost to you. So if your current VA home loan is above 4.5%, get on board and call PennyMac, where you could save time and money. There are less obstacles because the VA home loan doesn't require any income verification for refis. And PennyMac has a streamlined loan that can close in 30 days or less. Don't own a home? PennyMac through the VA can also offer a home loan with no down payment and no mortgage insurance, which could save you thousands. Today's mission: call PennyMac to take advantage of this special money-saving program. Call in the next 10 minutes to get a free $50 Home Depot gift card when you apply. Call 800-591-4062, 800-591-4062, 800-591-4062, or go to PennyMacUSA.com.
Coming up, hatred fuels terror attacks, but so does cold hard cash. Where do the terrorists get their money for their deadly deeds? Rachel Ehrenfeld is here to tell us. Also ahead, Ben Wickler on the left and Javier Manhattas on the right square off to debate the issues. And I'll have some thoughts on the GOP's sweet retreat this weekend. Will a visit to Hershey, Pennsylvania take away bitterness for Republicans? Hour 2 of America's Forum follows this news update.
Hello, I'm John Bachman. A plot to attack the U.S. Capitol inspired by ISIS has been stopped by federal investigators. An Ohio man, 20-year-old Christopher Cornell, was arrested by the FBI after buying 2 guns and 100 rounds of ammo at a Cincinnati area gun range. His dad says he may have been set up.
I think that was the FBI that he had been going to the mosque with. I think that was the FBI that he had been corresponding with all this time. It was the FBI.
More on the plan now. Cornell allegedly wanted to set off pipe bombs at the Capitol and then open fire on people in the confusion as they escaped. The FBI says he talked about his plans with one of their informants. And new rules go into effect tomorrow, making it easier for Americans to travel to Cuba. This is part of the normalization of relations with Cuba announced by President Obama last month. One of the biggest changes, as long as Americans are traveling to Cuba in one of a dozen approved categories, including educational or religious trips, they no longer need federal approval. Another new rule lifts the spending restrictions for Americans while in Cuba. And a shakeup today at the Secret Service. 4 assistant directors are being moved out of their positions, and they will be reassigned while a 5th is retiring. The house cleaning among the top management comes after several recent lapses, including a man racing all the way inside the White House after climbing the fence there armed with a knife. And a linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts is now denying rape allegations after his arrest last night. Josh McNary is accused of attacking a woman Early last month, police say after the rape, she accidentally grabbed McNary's phone, leading police back to him. He's a West Point grad and served 2 years on active duty. McNary signed with the Colts in 2013. And the Pope is continuing his trip around the world, landing in the Philippines earlier today. This is the first papal visit to the country in 2 decades. On his way there, the Pope touched on the attacks in Paris, saying that he supports free speech, but he says there are limits, especially when it insults or ridicules someone's faith. Secretary of State John Kerry will be paying a visit to Paris this evening.
And I don't feel any other exigencies other than a continuation of our friendship and our responsibilities as good friends and the longest ally in our history.
While Kerry's there, he apparently will not apologize for the U.S. not sending a high-profile representative to the Unity March last weekend. Instead, in his words, he wants to share a big hug with Paris, whatever that means. And as more funerals are held today for victims of the Charlie Hebdo attacks, including 2 of the paper's cartoonists who were murdered, a second run of this week's edition, 5 million copies, sold out before dawn this morning in France. And Oscar nominations are out. Bradley Cooper getting a nod for Best Actor in his role in American Sniper, which is also up for Best Picture. Among the nominees for Best Picture, Birdman and the Grand Budapest Hotel. They lead the pack, tied with 9 nominations each. The Oscars are February 22nd.
The situation in Yemen is such that, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is really in the business of expropriating resources from outside in order to wage its campaign inside. So what matters here in terms of the transnational terrorist finance is really sort of the ordinary transactions, the low-cost transactions that allow people and material to move across borders.
That is Christopher Swift, appearing on the Fox News Channel. Chris is the national security adjunct professor at Georgetown, and he was addressing where Al-Qaeda in Yemen gets its money to operate. Let us continue the conversation as we welcome you into Hour 2 of America's Forum. Miranda Kahn there, J.D. Hayworth here, and on the phone, Rachel Ehrenfeld, Director for the American Center for Democracy. Rachel, it's good to have you back here on America's Forum.
Thank you for having me.
Rachel, you say the free world has lost U.S. leadership in the wake of those terror attacks in Paris. Is President Obama to blame?
He's the one who is making the decisions, as we have seen in the past 5 years. So, had he wanted to go, he would have been there. And his absence spoke very, very, very loudly.
Rachel, the New York Times reported that Al-Qaeda is increasingly funding terror operations thanks to at least $125 million in ransom paid since 2008. Mm-hmm. And many of those payments are coming from our European allies. What's your response?
Well, our European allies have never shown much courage, as we recall going back, I don't know to the Second World War. They rather pay, and if you look at anti-corruption laws, the Europeans are the more those who, they want to do business. So for many, many years, American companies have had a big disadvantage because by law they couldn't pay bribes. Some did, some didn't. But the Europeans do it as a role, and they have done it all along, and they said, hey, we do business, so that's part of the doing business. So with that kind of attitude, we are talking about just doing business, not about paying a ransom, sure. And they have paid ransom to the PLO for many, many years in order to stay away from their airports, not to blow up their airplanes.
So with that in mind, Rachel...
Not to kidnap any of their politicians.
With that in mind, ransom, that really is a kind of active appeasement. Some people think appeasement is just remaining passive.
It's not active appeasement. It's funding more active bullying.
And mindful of that, with that kind of money, I'm wondering, you have made your reputation following the money. Mm-hmm. These last attacks in Paris, mm-hmm. Do you have any idea how those were financed and the groups?
I have no idea how those were financed, but whenever I see anything about, well, people from this group traveled here and those traveled there, and they were visiting here and they went to school there, who pays for it? Someone is paying for it. We know the travel costs a lot of money. Where are they staying? Who pays all the expenses? One way, which is I haven't seen much talk about it, is today we have a lot of possibilities to transfer money through mobile phones, right?
Yep.
Who checks those? You can transfer any amount of money you want without leaving any trace. You can use a disposable telephone. I know where you are. You know where I am. We can transfer whatever money we want, throw away the phones, and who knows?
So, Rachel, how do we hit them in the pocketbook where it really counts?
Well, those who support them, those who continue to claim that they are offended, those who are calling us to restrain our freedoms, those are the ones who are paying them. Some of them were marching in Paris over the weekend. As long as we keep up this hypocrisy that, well, no, but they say, they say that they are sorry and this is not Islam, as long as we will really choose to pretend that this is all okay, they will continue to fund terrorism and will continue to say that they are sorry, exactly like the Mr. Abbas there said.
Rachel Ehrenfeld, we appreciate the fact that you continue to monitor where the funds come from for these terror groups, and we always appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us via telephone this morning from New York.
Thank you very much.
Rachel Ehrenfeld, who I got to know during my days in Congress precisely because of the work she's done. Really forensic accounting, going back and finding out what accounts are being used, what nations, what other groups are behind the active funding
And that's
of terror.
no easy task.
No, it's not. It's really not. Next, how can the West survive the growth of anti-Semitism? Phyllis Chesler has some ideas, and she will join us as America's Forum continues.
When it comes to dental care, you deserve to know that you and your family are covered, whether you need cleanings, fillings, braces, crowns, or dental implants. You deserve dentalplans.com. With Dental Plans, you'll get the best care at the best prices, with savings from 10 to 60% on most dental procedures. Dental Plans has more than 100,000 dentists nationwide and offers more than 40 dental savings plans to choose from. Our DP at your service team is conveniently available to answer all your questions. With Dental Plans, there's no waiting, no health restrictions, and no paperwork hassles. There's even a 30-day risk-free guarantee. Individual plans start at just $79.95 a year. That's only $7 per month. Join today and you'll get an additional month free. And you'll even save an extra 15% on any plan through this exclusive TV offer. Visit dentalplans.com or call
1-800-908-1464.
Join, save, smile today.
Technology gives you security. Technology gives you control. And now, technology gives you home security and control in a new and revolutionary way. Introducing Plug and Protect from LiveWatch Security, an easy-to-use wireless security system customized just for your home, controlled from any smartphone, tablet, or computer, and monitored by professionals 24/7. Go to livewatch.com to get Plug and Protect interactive security delivered to your door. Arm or disarm your system from anywhere. Lock or unlock your doors. Turn your lights off or on. Even oversee your home with live video. With Plug and Protect, your security system is configured, tested, and then shipped directly to your home. No wires, no installers, just peel and place. Go to livewatch.com because with Plug and Protect, we customize your security to fit your home. The Plug and Protect secret is technology. With technology, you buy airline tickets without a travel agent. You trade stocks without a stockbroker. Now, with Plug and Protect, you can protect your home without an installer, pushy salesman, or a long contract.
Every day, the kids got out of school before I left work. I worried whether they were home okay. But then I found Plug and Protect from LiveWatch. And now I see when they open the front door, so I know they're home safe. LiveWatch helps me stay in touch and in control.
Founded by a paramedic in Kansas, serving tens of thousands of homes in all 50 states, and trusted by policemen and firemen throughout the country, LiveWatch is the new choice for home security. No door-to-door salespeople, no messy installers, no long-term contracts, just plug and protect. Now you too can enjoy the home security and control you want for your family. Try Plug and Protect in your home for a full 90 days. Included is our hassle-free guarantee. Go to livewatch.com. Plug and Protect is not available in stores, so go to livewatch.com right now. That's livewatch.com.
Personally, I'm devastated by the idea that some of my compatriots are going to Israel, not are going to Israel because they chose to go to Israel, but are going to Israel because they don't feel safe in France. It will be a major moral, political, human failure of the French Republic if you are not able to protect our Jewish compatriots.
That is the French ambassador to the U.S. on CNN lamenting the exodus of Jews from France. Miranda Kahn is here. I'm J.D. Hayworth, and we're so pleased to welcome in Phyllis Chesler, author of the book, An American Bride in Kabul. Phyllis, we always appreciate your time, and you have written a recent editorial in which you say Europe must enact a series of changes in order to survive the threat of barbarism. One of those changes, you write, is that borders and passports must return, and no one should be allowed to travel freely from country to country throughout Europe. Tell us how this change would help.
Well, if somebody gets into Bosnia, they can just make their way to London or Paris, where they can be connected to a terrorist cell, and they can kill Jews merely for the crime of being Jews, shopping for the Sabbath, and they can kill Western journalists merely for the so-called crime of blasphemy against the prophet, which just happened. Now, France has had 20 years in which people in the streets, left-oriented people, right-oriented people, and the Muslim street have been chanting, "Death to the Jews, death to the Jews." Jewish school children have been shot down, and I'm the author, by the way, of the new anti-Semitism, which is just out again in 2015, right now. And they have done nothing. Jews have been stabbed, they have been bombed, and the French have not called in the army, they have not called in the police. Now, the eyes of the world are on them. French perhaps begin to understand that by throwing the Jews, sacrificing their Jews, in the hope that that will appease their own hostile Muslim street, isn't exactly working. And the Jews represent democracy and the Western enterprise, which is under siege. So you want to end the European Union as a first step, because then you have to have visas to get into and out of countries and passports, which is not currently the case. And you need to have, I'm curious, will France pass legislation that will deport immediately all those who are on their no-fly lists, all those who have gone for jihadi training in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those immigrants coming in who have been trained and who are not questioned carefully enough to date at the borders of Europe. So there are a series of things not only Europe, but the United States has to do.
Phyllis, we just want to step in because our viewers may detect a bit of a difficulty with the Skype transmission, and we're working to repair that. Phyllis, of course, with a very interesting firsthand experience, getting married and being in Kabul,
right,
and subjected to Sharia law, more than just a cross-cultural change, a profound change in her life. And
she brings up some interesting points about France not taking action. As we talked about the other day, there's been reports that anti-Semitism has been going up 90% just from last year alone.
I think we may have restored the link now to Phyllis Chesler, joining us via Skype from New York. Phyllis, let's talk some about what France should do. Miranda just mentioned it. I asked a reporter in France about an equivalent of a U.S. Patriot Act. He said, really, the French have already tightened down. But have they, in your mind, taken steps to combat anti-Semitism that we have seen on display and heard so much about?
Absolutely not, although they're now worried about it a little bit more. The Jews were not allowed to worship last Sabbath because there wasn't proper protection in place for them after the massacre at the kosher supermarket. However, Muslims very freely worshipped in their mosques last Friday. Muslims are not under attack, and yet when the French began to now, this past week, have police and army protect some Jewish sites, Muslims complained and they said, well, what about us? We want the same special treatment that the Jews always get. So no, I think the French are concerned that if the Jews all leave, the Semites that were friendly and productive and assimilated, if the Jews leave, that they're going to then be stuck with their no-go zones, which should be, by the way, broken up by legislative order and then by military force.
Phyllis Chesler, we do appreciate your time. You've outlined your concerns. We apologize for any disruption in Skype transmission, but as always, Phyllis, your words come through loud and clear. There is more ahead as we continue on America's Forum here on Newsmax TV.
Even though Instaflex is now the #1 selling joint supplement at GNC, there are still too many people suffering with joint discomfort who haven't experienced the Instaflex difference. So now the makers of Instaflex are on a mission to give out as many complimentary 2-week samples of Instaflex as we can in the next 24 hours. These complimentary samples are not available in stores, and to guarantee your sample, you must call now, 1-800-958-9364. Instaflex is #1 at GNC because it's our most powerful joint relief formula ever. In a clinical study at a major university, Instaflex was shown to significantly reduce joint discomfort. Experience the difference now with your complimentary sample. Instaflex is available at GNC, Walgreens, and these fine retailers, but you can only get your complimentary 2-week sample by calling 1-800-958-9364. We want to give out as many complimentary Instaflex samples as we can in the next 24 hours, so call and guarantee yours now. 1-800-958-9364.
I knew New York Life was a good company. I didn't know how good until I lost my mom. That's why I want to share this story about life insurance. When Mom died, we found an AARP term life insurance policy from New York Life. We didn't know she had it, so I picked up the phone. The man who answered was so helpful. We received our benefits in no time. With all our expenses, that was a big help. That was my mom. Always taking care of things.
We all want to take care of the people we love, whether it's to help with funeral costs or loans and other expenses that may be left behind. At New York Life, we understand that, and we make it easy. In fact, AARP selected us to provide group life insurance for those 50 and over. Protection like AARP Level Benefit Term Life, with benefits from $10,000 to $100,000. You don't need a physical exam or medical tests to apply. Acceptance is based on your health information. To learn more, call now or visit the website on your screen. We'll send you free information and a rate quote. If you decide this protection is right for you, you can apply in about 5 minutes. If you're interested in coverage over $100,000, we can help with that too.
Finding Mom's policy was such a relief, so we called New York Life again, this time to help protect our family. And we found affordable coverage that fit our budget.
Affordable rates start as low as $10.46 a month for $10,000 in benefits, about 34 cents a day.
Now we're taking care of the people we love, the same way my mom took care of us.
For free information plus a rate quote, call New York Life at 1-800-824-6868 or visit NewYorkLifeAARP.com. Not an AARP member will tell you how to join. That's 1-800-824-6868. Call now and get a free gift. 1-800-824-6868. Certificate benefits limitations should be carefully examined prior to purchase.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by
by the content of their character. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I appreciate all the efforts of those working to fix our broken immigration system, especially since I'm one of them. What we're dealing with is a president who has ignored the people, has ignored the Constitution, and even his own past statements. In fact, on at least 22 occasions, he said he did not have the authority to do what he has done.
With Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, we're back now on America's Forum. And of course, that was House Speaker John Boehner, Miranda, talking about what he characterizes as a broken immigration system.
Yeah, the House has voted to block President Obama's executive action on amnesty.
Joining us now via telephone, Michael Cutler, a former INS officer who testified before the 9/11 Commission and who I got to know during my days in Congress in the wake of those 9/11 attacks. Michael, it's good to have you back here on America's Forum. So the House has taken a fairly strong stand. What do you expect in the Senate?
Well, thanks for having me. I expect that we're going to see more of the same, a lot of posturing about the president's, what I believe, illegal executive orders. But here's the problem, J.D., and this is something that no one's talking about, especially the Republican Party. They're quick to point out how the president's actions undermines the Constitution and our rule of law. But nobody is talking about how this undermines national security. And that's really the issue. And this idea that we're going to somehow give millions of people identity documents when they ran our borders, this terminology of undocumented is really not accurate. It's that they entered without inspection. And that was the term we used as immigration agents. We used the three-letter initial, EWI, to describe such aliens. Who on earth would trust somebody who snuck into your country because we'd have no way of knowing who they are or when they got here or why they came? So the point for the Republicans, I believe, is to deliver up for their contributors cheap labor and all those folks that help them generate business. But at the same time, this is undermining American workers. We're coming up on the birthday of Martin Luther King. If you look at the cost that the American minorities, especially, are paying in the labor force, it's stunning. If you believe that giving millions of aliens authority to work is helpful to American workers, then you believe that the guy that puts cheese on a mousetrap is trying to feed hungry mice.
So how successful do you think the new Congress will be at blocking the president's actions?
Well, I'm hopeful that they will be, but my problem is what will they replace it with? They still want to accomplish the same things that the president wants, so they're getting a benefit from Obama. This is a gift. They can scream and rant and rave about how he's violating the Constitution, but at the same time, by allowing all those people in, the people making those deep-pocketed campaign contributions are getting exactly what they want. I think they're going to defeat him on these executive measures, but the question is what happens when the smoke settles, the dust settles, where will we be then? What's needed as far as immigration is concerned isn't so much a revamping of the laws, but of going back to the basic premise that for America to do well, Americans must do well, and we're not hearing that from either party leadership. Am I right?
Well, Michael, I will tell you, I've been there and I've studied and I've been back to the Hill to talk about this very subject. And there is grave concern that the establishment sectors in both parties, the business as usual gang, will continue despite the clear and apparent dangers and despite some events. However, what has happened in the past, Michael, is we have seen events intrude and stop amnesty plans hatched in Congress.
Yes.
Now, with what happened last week in Paris, will the American people mobilize to the point that their representatives and senators will go, they're reminding us again that border security is national security, and will this again, outside events, put the brakes on the D.C. designs to move forward with amnesty?
Well, only the people watching this program can answer that question. I hope so. What I found interesting was that Dianne Feinstein, who chaired the Senate Intelligence Committee, and she has been repeatedly talking about how the risk of terrorism is greater now than since any time, even before 9/11, has come out and taken the position on the visa waiver program. And you know this was one of the cornerstones of my testimony. And I've done this at 16 other congressional hearings before the Senate and before the House. The idea of allowing aliens into the country without visas is dangerous. On 9/11, we had 26 visa waiver countries. We are now up to 38. This is because the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, partnering with the hotel, hospitality, and travel industries, have been pushing this. But by admitting that the visa waiver program, in the words of Feinstein, is the Achilles heel of America's national security, well, guess what? She's acknowledging that it's not just the U.S.-Mexican border that needs to be addressed. It's the entire enforcement mechanism of the immigration system, and that really should be the starting point. There should be no discussions about immigration reform without going back to the 9/11 Commission findings and recommendations. That should be the starting point. Don't you agree?
Michael, quick question for you, though, because a lot of people, well, this isn't a quick question, but a lot of people have been arguing about immigration for quite some time, mainly because people say it's not realistic to deport 5 million people. So is there a compromise that can finally be reached?
You know what? We don't enforce any law but for a tiny fraction. How many people speed and get away with it? How many people blow stop signs and get away with it? Does anybody recommend changing the motor vehicle law to get rid of the stop signs? When drunk driving became an issue, when texting by motorists became an issue, nobody stood up and said, gee whiz, there's too many people with cell phones and driver's licenses for us to be able to address it. You enforce the law as effectively as you can, you launch a massive advertising campaign, and you convince those people who would contemplate violating the law, convince them that we're serious. Chuck Schumer, the architect of amnesty, has said that we have to go after the people who trespass on public buildings in the United States, especially the landmarks in New York. He called for raising the penalties from a year in jail, which is what it is in New York City now, to 5 years in jail. He said enforcement is the way you deter illegal activity. Why then is it that when people trespass on America, Chuck Schumer turns around and says, well, we should give them a path to citizenship? The guy lacks mouth-ear coordination. It's not hard. Get more people enforcing the laws. Make it clear that if you're here illegally, we're not going to give you the ability to operate normally.
And Michael
I believe
Cutler,
a lot of people will go home.
That's right. Michael Cutler, the bottom line on this is simply the observation: when the laws are enforced, people obey the laws, or they respond in a way to remove themselves from being subject to those laws. Obviously, this discussion will continue. As always, Michael, we appreciate your input, and America's Forum will continue after this Newsmax Now update.
The FBI arrests an Ohio man for plotting a terror attack in Washington, D.C. This story tops your Newsmax Now update. Authorities say 20-year-old Christopher Lee Cornell, seen here, wanted to set off pipe bombs at the U.S. Capitol. The suspect is a recent convert to Islam. And the Pentagon releases 5 Yemeni prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. 4 men are being sent to Oman, another to Estonia. And 4 top officials at the Secret Service agency are being moved out of their positions today. This after a series of embarrassing missteps, including a prostitution scandal and, most recently, a fence jumper who made it all the way into the White House. And Bradley Cooper receives an Oscar nomination for his role in American Sniper. The film, based on a true story, is also up for Best Picture. That was your very latest update. We'll have another one coming your way at the top of the hour.
Dates and addresses, tips and totals, names and phone numbers. Neat knows you've got a lot of information to manage. By separating what's key from what's clutter, Neat helps you get to the important stuff faster, so you can stop digging through documents and get back to work. Neat scans your documents into the Neat Smart Organization System. There, it reads the documents you have, unlocks the key information you need, and organizes it into the formats you want. Neat knows how to capture information from digital files too, and documents become instantly searchable and usable with just one keyword.
Get your fun back.
Get Neat. Get to what matters.
Get Neat, as seen on TV Celebrity Apprentice. That's a Neat scanner, plus the Neat Smart Organization System for 30 days, risk-free. You'll also get a free 30-day subscription to our Neat Premium service for even more advanced features. Call or visit your favorite retailer. Get Neat and get to what matters.
You know, just before retirement, I had that uh-oh moment. It is not a great feeling. I worked hard, I saved money, but then I realized I wasn't going to have enough.
If you're age 62 or older and facing a financial gap, your home's equity could provide greater financial independence. With recent changes to reverse mortgages, it's more important than ever to make a decision based on current facts rather than outdated information. If you think you know everything there is to know about reverse mortgages, the truth is you probably don't.
And I have to admit, I was skeptical at first based on what I thought I knew, but then I realized how misinformed I really was.
Many people are surprised to learn that today's reverse mortgages have been redesigned and can provide greater help to consumers. As a result, they can be an effective option to help fund the retirement you want. Call Reverse Mortgage Funding today for a free copy of Closing the Gap. It has the most current information about new products, including those designed to help you extend your retirement funds or to purchase a new home.
My reverse mortgage gave me the benefits of a home equity line of credit without the monthly loan payments, and they made the process really easy.
Retirement and retirees have changed, and so have reverse mortgages. You owe it to yourself to see how today's reverse mortgages are meeting the needs of a new retirement generation. To find out how, call Reverse Mortgage Funding now and get the facts.
We based our decision on current information, not hearsay, which was really a smart move for us. It changed our entire retirement outlook.
Call toll-free 1-877-272-3738 for your free copy of Closing the Gap. There's no obligation, so call 1-877-272-3738 today. That's 1-877-272-3738. Loan terms and conditions apply. Visit reverseminded.com for details.
People ask me all the time, George, what do I do with my idea for a new product? I tell them, call my friends at InventHelp. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For free inventors information, call 1-800-560-0585.
It means that right now that Islam, and in a sense the Muslims are the first victims, but Islam is breeding a radicalism which is quite dangerous for everybody. So I think that in the coming weeks or the coming months we have to define a global strategy, and a part of the strategy is to work with the Muslim countries. They have to do their part of the job.
Once again, we hear from the French ambassador to the United States, this particular time appearing on the Fox News channel and spelling it out, saying that Islam is breeding terrorism. Let's bring in our panel. On the left, Skyping in from Washington, D.C., he is the Washington director of MoveOn.org and host of The Good Fight, Ben Wickler. And from our South Florida Newsmax TV newsroom, the managing editor of the Shark Tank political blog, Javier Manjarres. Gentlemen, to you both, we appreciate you being here. Ben, we heard that statement from the French ambassador. The American administration uses more euphemistic terms. It has prompted this reaction from Willie Geist today on MSNBC. Take a listen.
I sincerely don't know what they gain by not calling it what it is, other than warm feelings, perhaps, for themselves. Again, no one here is condemning the Muslim faith. We've said it 1,000 times. But when you have explicit response to a cartoon that lampooned the Prophet Muhammad, and then them shouting, "We have avenged the Prophet Muhammad," and yelling Allahu Akbar, there's nothing else to call it except what it was. And that doesn't...
So, Ben, we've seen this administration move to try and redefine this type of terror, to forbid certain terms from being used by the State Department and the Pentagon. When will Mr. Obama and those in his administration call it what it was?
Well, JD, the president has called this an evil and cowardly attack by terrorists who fear our freedom. I think that's pretty unequivocal, and I think the president is as good as his word when he's pledging the United States full support to track down and hold those who did this fully accountable. That's the most important thing, and I think he's on the job.
Javier, when Islamofascism or Islamic terror is not utilized in the lexicon, you're denying the source. I mean, after all, these are not Episcopalians out attacking buildings.
Yeah, JD, I just think it's kind of funny how our amigos over at moveover.org, they run cover for the president at every turn. Look, it is what it is. This is radical Islamic terrorism. And he fails, or he chooses not to denounce for what it is, because I think he's sympathetic for Islam as a whole, for the Islamic people, not just radical Islam or them, but remember, he used to be a Muslim for a good part of his life, or the majority of his life, and now he's a Christian. Fine, so be it. But I think he refuses to call out Islam for what it is. And
JD.
Speak what you want there, Ben, but it is what it is.
Ben, okay, Ben, go ahead. Go ahead, Ben.
Do you think that these terrorists like not being called Muslims, like not being allowed to speak for all of Islam? They hate that. These guys want to claim that they're the voice of Islam, and they're not. So to me, it's a way of rebuking them, to not dignify them with that title. Obviously, they believe that they're Muslims. They came out of, a certain extremist fringe wing of the Islamic faith. But these guys want to be the standard bearers for their religion, and they're completely not.
Hey Ben, when the IRA in Israel, in Ireland used to carry out terrorist attacks, they were labeled as radical Catholics, radical Christians. What's the difference?
Sure. Look,
right?
these guys are radical Muslims, right? But the question is, if we call them that, does that somehow hurt them? Does that make them less effective?
Well,
no.
but here's the other side of that coin, Ben. When you fail to adequately source, not out of some sort of promotion of their status worldwide, but the source of who is doing this, believe me, they don't take it as an insult. In fact, I would wager that they laugh at the political correctness of those who refuse to call the generation of terror by its proper name. You yourself just used the term Islamic, and yet you go into these contortions to try to defend the administration that somehow it's the right thing to do. 20 seconds to respond, Ben.
Sure. The bottom line is, are we doing everything in our power to track these guys down and hold them accountable? The answer to that is yes. And to me, the rest is more or less semantics.
To be fair about it, I had a problem from the start when we called it, under President Bush, a war on terror.
I didn't know
terror is a tactic.
I didn't know Ben was privy to intelligence that we're not.
Well, friends of mine in the intelligence community will tell you they are working overtime right now.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, we're heading to the bottom of this segment, but we'll bring you back for more here on America's Forum.
If you have Medicare and have a chronic breathing condition, you can take your medication using an inhaler, or this, a portable nebulizer from Med4Home. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer may be more effective and easier to use than just an inhaler. Impressive. It's like getting hospital-quality treatment at home. So call Med4Home today to find out more. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy that's here to help you however they can. They'll deal with your doctor, the paperwork, even ship for free. And their pharmacists and respiratory therapists are available 24/7. What's more, your nebulizer and medications may even be covered by your Part B benefits. For a better treatment at a much better price, call Med4Home now to learn how a portable nebulizer can help you start breathing better today. For more information, call 1-800-243-3541.
I'm back.
Hi, honey. How's Sue holding up after the funeral?
It's sad. The whole family was there, looking at photos, telling stories about Dan.
That's just what Sue needs.
That's just it. She doesn't budge from the kitchen or her stack of bills. This is time for family, not for money worries.
No life insurance?
Dan put it off. Now she's left to struggle. Jack, do you remember the life insurance we saw on TV?
Sure. Stonebridge Life. Sounded great. But we decided to wait.
I just found out what happens when people wait.
I just had surgery. Our rates will be through the roof.
No, remember, it's guaranteed acceptance. They don't even ask about health.
Well, let's call for more information. I'll get the number.
If you're 45 to 75, call now to learn about Guaranteed Security Life, modified whole life insurance with limited benefits for the first 2 years.
Did you know funerals can cost over $7,000? And that's just the funeral. Would your family struggle, or will they have help? With Guaranteed Security Life, you can get $5,000, $7,000, up to $20,000 that could be used to help pay your final expenses, like funeral and burial costs, medical bills, and other debt. Rates start at around $17 a month, so there's a plan for everyone's budget. And Guaranteed means you cannot be turned down for any reason. This is the permanent, lifetime security you want for your family, with coverage that builds some cash value and is backed by the strength of a leader, Stonebridge Life Insurance Company.
Well, that was easy.
Rates were lower than I thought.
And now we'll both be covered.
Don't put off getting the life insurance you need. Call for Guaranteed Security Life today.
Call 1-888-262-4679 for more information about Guaranteed Security Life Insurance. That's 1-888-262-4679. 1-888-262-4679. Call now.
Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic. Some will never return. With thy blessing, we shall prevail over the unholy forces of our enemy. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
What we're dealing with is a president who has ignored the people, has ignored the Constitution, and even his own past statements. To think that the President of the United States actually studied constitutional law is one thing. He didn't just teach or learn constitutional law, he taught it as well. But now his actions suggest that he's forgotten what these words even mean. Enough is enough.
House Speaker John Boehner there slamming the president for constitutional overreach on immigration. This as the GOP-controlled House voted down the push for executive amnesty yesterday in its funding bill for Homeland Security. Let's continue our conversation with Javier Manjarres, the managing editor of the Shark Tank political blog, who joins us from our South Florida Newsmax TV newsroom, and via Skype from Washington, D.C., Ben Wickler, the Washington director of MoveOn.org. Javier, first to you. Will Speaker Boehner's closing argument and, more importantly, that vote yesterday heal any rift within the House Republican Conference?
No, I mean, no one in the House Republican Conference or conservatives in the House think that he's actually serious. He's signaled before yesterday that he was looking to work with the president on immigration reform and even maybe even capitulate to him. Look, I don't buy it. I think Boehner is just serving lip service to a lot of these conservatives, and they don't buy it as well.
Well, Ben, your take on this? You have to love to see some disunity in the Republican ranks. But don't Democrats suffer some political exposure if they're just in lockstep for this amnesty?
You know, this is a position that I think not only is popular already, but it's going to grow in popularity as more and more people realize that the sky doesn't fall when we acknowledge reality, that there are millions of people who've lived here for a decade, they've been paying taxes, they've been working hard, and now they have an opportunity to contribute to our country without the shadow of deportation over them. I think that's a good thing for the country, and frankly, I think it's the Republicans that are out on a limb here. This is an act of telling millions of people that the GOP is not the party for them as we look forward to the presidential election.
Javier?
Yeah, but aside from paying sales taxes, what taxes are they paying if not forging illegal, if they're paying taxes and they're forging documents? Because how can they be legally paying taxes if not just sales tax? Anyone can pay a sales tax, go to 7-Eleven and buy a candy bar.
Undocumented immigrants can get a tax ID and pay Social Security and income taxes.
Where?
They just don't get the Social Security benefits. This is something that millions of Americans do, and it's actually one of the reasons why there's so much surplus in the Social Security Trust Fund right now.
When you talk about that ITIN, that individual taxpayer identification number, the fact is it is being utilized by illegals in tax law to get tax breaks, to get the benefits of citizenship, and to do so illegally and unlawfully. So let me ask you this question, Ben. You say this is on behalf of the immigrants. What about the immigrants who come here legally, who have played by the rules? We're just going to say, sorry, suckers, these guys broke in line. They're the new voters, and we're going to sign them up. Is that the MO for MoveOn.org, Ben?
You know, if you ask the millions of immigrants who've come here legally, overwhelmingly they support this policy. Often it's their own parents or their own children who are threatened with deportation. They've been the strongest advocates for this change.
Not what
this is
I've
something
heard
that
from
brings
them.
people together. Sure,
Not
there are
what I've
some
heard from
exceptions.
them.
Absolutely.
That's
But the
because-
overwhelming majority, just look at the polling. This is something that immigrants support. The only immigrants who don't support it, by and large, are people who immigrated a few hundred years ago.
No,
but
that's
when you
that-
take a step back,
that's not true. Let me let Javier get the last word in here.
Sure.
Go ahead,
Ben,
Javier.
Ben, I'd like to see the sample of that poll, and I don't buy it because, you know, I've dealt with a lot of Hispanics. I happen to be one, and a lot of them don't agree with your take on immigration reform. A lot of them believe they come to this country because they leave oppressive, lawless regimes and countries and governments to come here to abide by the rule of law and make a better life for themselves. So I don't buy it.
But what I do
do a poll
appreciate.
tweet off after the segment at Ben Wickler. I will tweet links to polls. I'd love to see yours too.
Yeah, I'd like to
Oh,
see those
good.
samples.
Well, I tell you what, we'll bring you
Like
back.
to see
In
my
addition
poll?
to poll numbers, we'll get the arguments. Gentlemen, our time together today is concluded. Our thanks to you both. And America's Forum will continue. Poll numbers are one thing, common sense is another. I'll have a dose of common sense for you following this timeout.
Hi, I'm Matt McCoy. How long have you had your car insurance? I ask because I had mine for over 20 years before I switched and saved hundreds with the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford.
I was with my previous insurance for 30 years, but they could not compete with the Hartford.
People 50 and over could save hundreds of dollars when they switch.
I had done a lot of comparison shopping. The rate was like half of what I was paying.
$404 is the average amount folks save when they switch to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford. You know, it makes me wonder why everyone 50 and over hasn't switched.
9 out of 10 AARP members who switch to the Hartford from companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Geico all get a lower rate with the Hartford. So call 1-800-684-1685 or go to gohartfordauto.com for your free quote. If you're not already an AARP member, the Hartford can help you join in minutes.
Let me tell you what else the Hartford does. They promise not to drop you, even if you're in an accident. It's called lifetime renewability, and it's included with your policy.
It's a great feeling to know that they're not going to drop you for that reason.
And if by chance you're ever injured in an accident, the Hartford has a benefit called Recover Care. This will help cover the cost of having someone do your grocery shopping, your house cleaning, lawn care, even walk your dog.
They were there when we got the insurance, and they were there when we needed it, and we really appreciate that.
Save $404 on average, get lifetime renewability, and Recover Care. Call the Hartford at 1-800-684-1685 now. That's 1-800-684-1685. Or go to gohartfordauto.com today. Get this free calculator just for requesting a quote.
Do you own mutual funds? You may be paying fees and costs of up to 5% and not even know it. Fisher Investments isn't a mutual fund, and we don't have hidden fees. Do you own an annuity? Your broker may have made a commission of 8% or more when he sold it to you. Are you sure he had your best interests in mind? At Fisher Investments, we're not brokers, and we don't earn commissions on trades or by selling you products. With our model, as your portfolio grows, we grow.
To learn more about the Fisher Investments difference, call the number on your screen now. We'll send you our free DVD, Investing Secrets for 2015, and our special report, The 8 Biggest Mistakes Investors Make. Plus, the first 100 callers get a free 1-year subscription to Fisher Investments Stock Market Outlook with insights from our company founder and respected market forecaster, Ken Fisher. Be prepared in 2015. Call now, 1-800-375-3344. 1-800-375-3344.
You may pack your kids off to summer camp. Your parents may have packed you off to summer camp when you were a kid. But Congress doesn't have summer camp. Instead, both parties host their own winter retreats. This weekend, my former colleagues in the House Republican Conference are in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and so are their Senate GOP counterparts. As you might expect, Hershey being Hershey, and perhaps the world's greatest attraction for chocoholics, the press has dubbed this the Sweet Retreat. One thing's for sure, it is light years beyond the site of the first Republican retreat I attended 20 years ago, at least in terms of cuisine and creature comforts. 2 decades ago, the first House GOP majority in 40 years had just taken office. Newt Gingrich had just been installed as Speaker, and the theme of that first gathering should have been entitled The Prisoners. Here's why. Speaker Newt, in full professorial form, was big on transformation and innovation. Accordingly, he sought to transform the whole notion of the congressional retreat, spurning a resort location and instead taking us to a place in Leesburg, Virginia known as Xerox University. I'm sure the fine folks at Xerox had and still have a corporate culture that blends seamlessly into the architecture, interaction, and random encounters at their eponymously named university, what you and I might refer to more accurately as a great big training center. At any rate, the only way I can describe the place is that it would have been the perfect location to film episodes of that surreal British TV show from the 1970s entitled The Prisoner. Only 2 things were missing that would have made it an exact clone of that cult TV hit: the dashing star Patrick McGowan and the creepy harpsichord-driven soundtrack. To say this place was strange would be an understatement. In fact, the restroom arrangements had a huge creepiness factor all their own. Though there were individual rooms, there were half the number of bathrooms located between those guest rooms. No, this was not an arrangement that you see in some college dorms. This was where you shared a bathroom with a complete stranger on the other side of a common door you were supposed to keep locked when you needed to use the facilities. Apparently, the utilitarian designers of this place had discounted any notion of simultaneous intestinal distress. Sorry to descend into the realm of the scatological, but that was the big takeaway from that first congressional retreat I attended, a genuine feeling of relief that I had not gotten a dose of stomach flu. In subsequent years, we returned to the traditional notion of meeting at a resort. Among the locations, Williamsburg, with its obvious ties to colonial times, the Greenbrier, with its above-ground accoutrements and its below-ground bunker, which had been installed, ironically, as a temporary location for Congress back in the 1950s should a nuclear war begin. And how could I forget a place in Pennsylvania known as Nemacolin, which was a great spot, even though its name sounds more like a cough syrup than a resort. Now the Republicans have returned to the Keystone State, not to Nemacolin, but to the much more delicious sounding site of Hershey. They gather there following a contentious vote for Speaker, where, in the end, John Boehner kept the gavel despite a 26-member defection, and right after the vote yesterday to defund the president's executive amnesty. While I have criticized the Speaker from time to time, I must say that the speech he delivered yesterday to conclude the debate was outstanding. He recited for the record the verbatim quotations of Barack Obama, the 20-plus times the president said publicly he could not unilaterally declare amnesty prior to doing just that. Mr. Boehner gave a great speech. Of course, in the final analysis, it will not be this retreat at Hershey that takes away the bitterness in the GOP ranks. Instead, it is the arrogance of this president that has provoked the Republican unity. Now the only thing House Republicans really have to worry about is their Senate counterparts, especially those who lined up with the infamous Gang of Eight who wrote that Senate amnesty bill. If the Senate stubbornly stays in support of amnesty, the House GOP may be tempted to add nuts to the chocolate bars being delivered to Republican senators there in Hershey. At least, that's the way I see it.
The psoriasis on my feet was so bad that it felt as if I were walking on broken glass.
If you suffer from psoriasis, you know it can feel like a curse.
I was hiding in the house all the time. I didn't want to be out with the public at all, didn't want people seeing me.
If you're tired of the pain and embarrassment of your psoriasis and would like to take control of it, then you want Extract by Photomedics, the global leader in targeted therapy for psoriasis. Extract can clear your psoriasis in weeks with no harmful side effects. Extract treats all psoriasis areas. The in-office treatment takes no time at all.
After the treatment, often I hear, I couldn't even feel anything. Are you done?
You do not feel a thing.
She'd go zzz, 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 and then it would be done.
Extract is cleared by the FDA and recommended by over 2,000 dermatologists.
I was seeing results within like 2 or 3 treatments.
Extract is covered by all major insurance companies and Medicare.
One of the worst areas was my right elbow, and after about 2 months, you can see it's totally clear.
Act now and you can qualify to be reimbursed for any copays until you see results.
It feels great. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, now I know how everyone else feels that has a healthy scalp.
So call now for your no-cost treatment at an Extract clinic conveniently located near you. We can see you right away.
For all the folks who have given up hope on their psoriasis and felt like there is no solution, I would love for them to come in and give our Extract treatment a try and see what a difference it can make in their lives.
Stop suffering from psoriasis. Live clear, live free with Extract.
Call 1-800-741-0957 for your no-cost Extract treatment at a location near you, or go to useextract.com right now. So call 1-800-741-0957.
Have you written a book and want it published? Page Publishing cuts through the confusion of copyright protection, barcodes, and digital rights. We print and digitize your book and place your book for sale online and in bookstores everywhere. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions. We're different. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From editing to cover design, we get you published.
Call for your free author submission kit at 1-800-714-7935.
When it comes to dental care, you deserve to know that you and your family are covered, whether you need cleanings, fillings, braces, crowns, or dental implants. You deserve dentalplans.com. With Dental Plans, you'll get the best care at the best prices, with savings from 10 to 60% on most dental procedures. Dental Plans has more than 100,000 dentists nationwide and offers more than 40 dental savings plans to choose from. Our DP at your service team is conveniently available to answer all your questions. With Dental Plans, there's no waiting, no health restrictions, and no paperwork hassles. There's even a 30-day risk-free guarantee. Individual plans start at just $79.95 a year. That's only $7 per month. Join today and you'll get an additional month free. And you'll even save an extra 15% on any plan through this exclusive TV offer. Visit dentalplans.com or call
1-800-908-1464.
Join, save, smile today.
Hour 3 of America's Forum features 2, count 'em, 2 JDs. JD Gordon joins this JD to talk about the latest release from Gitmo. Meantime, a suspected release of ammonia sparks concern aboard the International Space Station. Bob Walker championed the ISS in Congress. He'll update us on what's happening above. And what happens when a commuting canine takes the bus alone? You'll find out during the final hour of America's Forum.
Hello, I'm John Bachman. It is about to get a lot easier to travel to Cuba. New rules have been unveiled today that take effect tomorrow. One of the biggest changes is that Americans will no longer need to be approved by the federal government before heading to Cuba. That's as long as they're traveling in an approved category, such as a humanitarian or religious trip. Other changes include doing away with spending limits while in Cuba for Americans and allowing Americans to return home with up to $100 worth of rum and cigars. Cheers to that. Under arrest right now, an Ohio man accused of plotting an attack on the U.S. Capitol. The suspect, Christopher Cornell, allegedly wanted to set off pipe bombs around the Capitol building and then open fire on people as they ran to escape. He was busted by the FBI outside a Cincinnati area gun range after buying 2 guns and 600 rounds of ammo.
As soon as the purchase was over and he left the door, several agents came out and tackled him here in the parking lot and took him down.
Well, investigators also say he opened up a Twitter account under a pseudonym, posting messages supporting ISIS. He also apparently told an FBI informant about his plans. And a member now, the Indianapolis Colts, is facing rape charges. Josh McNary, a linebacker on the team, is denying those allegations after his arrest last night. The accuser says she was attacked last month. McNary, an Army grad, served 2 years of active duty before signing with the Colts in 2013. The Colts do play the Patriots this Sunday in the AFC Championship game. And 4 top managers at the Secret Service have been booted from their jobs. A 5th is now retiring. It's all part of a shakeup after those recent security lapses. Several reports say the assistant directors in charge of protection, investigations, technology, and public affairs are all being reassigned. Another assistant director is leaving the service. In France today, the funerals for several of the staff members of the paper Charlie Hebdo killed in last week's terror attacks. Hundreds have been turning out for the funerals across France. Secretary of State John Kerry will be there today.
The visit to France is basically to share a big hug with Paris and express the affection of the American people for France and for our friends there.
Kerry was speaking there in Bulgaria. He says he has no plans to apologize for the lack of a high-profile American representative at last weekend's Unity March there in Paris. Pope Francis today has arrived in the Philippines. Of course, he got a loud and windy reception, blowing off his hat. Speaking earlier today on his way there, the Pope talked about the Paris attacks. He defended the freedom of expression, but he also said there are limits, especially when it ridicules or insults someone's faith. And the Oscar nominations are out now, and Birdman and Grand Budapest Hotel lead the pack with 9 nods each. Birdman star Michael Keaton also getting a nod for Best Actor in the category, along with Bradley Cooper, Benedict Cumberbatch, Steve Carell, and Eddie Redmayne. We'll have a full list of the nominees coming up at Newsmax.com. The Oscars are February 22nd.
The President of the United States has concluded that the war on terror has reached a point that we can safely release people from Gitmo. The best I can say about him is he's unfocused. That's delusional thinking. The war on terror has reached a lethal phase, and it is insane to be letting these people out of Gitmo to go back to the fight. 30% of the people released already have gone back to the fight.
Alongside Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, welcoming you into our third and final hour of America's Forum for this Thursday. We just heard from Senator Lindsey Graham on the Fox News channel discussing the danger of the president's promise to close the facility at Gitmo.
Yeah, this as 5 Yemenis have been transferred from U.S. custody at the prison. 4 will be sent to Oman, the 5th to Estonia.
Joining us now, a guy I kind of like his name, J.D. Gordon. Former spokesman for the Defense Department, checking in from Newsmax, Washington. So, J.D., let me get this straight. Last week, those horrible terror attacks in Paris, threats against our nation from the terrorists. Is this really a good time to be opening the gates at Gitmo?
J.D., it's a terrible time. But President Obama has been on this mission to close Guantanamo regardless of the circumstances. You know, J.D., over the years, the international left has basically portrayed these Gitmo detainees as today's Che Guevara's. Che Guevara just standing up to the man, standing up for the little guy. That's how President Obama and the international left view these guys. That's why they let him out, even though President Obama knows that nearly 1 out of 3 have gone back to terrorism. He's releasing them anyway, despite what happened in Paris. That is horrible. The American people ought to hold him accountable.
JD, General Jack Keane had this to say about the closure. We want you to listen to it and get your reaction.
When you get down to these last 127 at Gitmo, these are the hardcore and they're also the leaders. So their impact would be considerably greater. And it's an outrage for our troops who are engaged in this fight, you know, against radical Islam to have to fight these people again.
So do you agree? Is this a slap in the face to our men and women serving in uniform?
Absolutely. I agree with General Keane on that. I mean, we've had such a hard time to get these guys in the first place. We've had so many of our troops killed trying to arrest these guys, trying to detain them. And yet President Obama is just letting them go. It's a fact that we're going to lose more Americans because of all these Guantanamo detainees that President Obama is letting go. He's released about half of them. When he came into office in 2009, we had over 240. Now it's just over 120. The 5 guys he just released just now, 4 to Oman and 1 to Estonia, these guys were frontline fighters in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. They were at Tora Bora with bin Laden. One of them was a bodyguard for bin Laden. But those are the type of people that President Obama is letting go.
Well, and we get news of these releases today just as we find out that another former Gitmo inmate is back among the jihadists. He's actually become a recruiter for ISIS in Afghanistan. That has happened often, and to be fair, it happened under the Bush administration as well when there were releases. But why this insistence, seeing the recidivism rate from the jihadists who are released from Gitmo?
The only way it makes sense, JD, is if you look at it from the international left's perspective. The international left has built these guys up to be the victims of the Bush administration's overreach, they called it. They view these guys as Che Guevara. That's why a lot of the people on the left say, oh, you have to release the Guantanamo detainees or try them. Well, look, did we try all the Nazis in court during World War II? No, we didn't. It's just a false construct. President Obama is acting on his ideology. He's basically a member of the international left. He thinks the Guantanamo detainees are the victims here. That's why he's releasing them. And he knows more Americans are going to die because of it. That's the thing that's so horrific about this, JD. He knows, and his top advisors know it. You know, there were 9 top lawyers representing al-Qaeda detainees. Those guys got senior appointments in the Justice Department. It was basically like the inmates running the asylum. I was a Pentagon spokesman. I had to deal with some of these people that represented Guantanamo detainees. I'll tell you one, Jennifer Daskal from Human Rights Watch, for instance. She was with me at Guantanamo many times. I've been to Guantanamo over 30 times as a Pentagon spokesman, bringing media down, bringing human rights groups down. Well, Jennifer, she was squarely focused on closing Guantanamo and releasing as many as she could from Human Rights Watch. Well, guess what? She became a senior Obama political appointee, put on the task force to determine who's going to be released. It was like the inmates running the asylum. It's no surprise that Obama is releasing them all and his far-left ideologues along with him.
Well, JD, you spent time at the Pentagon and at Gitmo, and you are willing to name names and point out the consequences, indeed some would say the follies of these actions. Tell you what, JD, we want you to hang in there, not only because I like your name, but also because you have some very worthwhile comments based on hard-won experience. You stay with us as well, because we're going to come back after the break and talk more with J.D. Gordon about the rise of ISIS and the curious actions and/or inactions of the current administration. Stay tuned.
Look at these photos of real, unretouched before and after results thanks to Lifestyle Lift.
Keep watching to see how you get a free gift from Lifestyle Lift.
The world's most experienced facial rejuvenation expert.
With almost 100 caring physicians. Our proven minimally invasive rejuvenation process and lasers can help you smooth away angry frown lines, tired eyes, or loose skin.
For a more youthful, radiant look.
I am almost 68 years old. And look what Lifestyle Lift has done for me. You can have the same thing.
Then smile as you snap your next photo or walk into that special event.
You deserve it.
Lifestyle Lift, because you deserve it.
Call or go online at lifestylelift.com now.
Call now to receive your free information with real success stories from Lifestyle Lift and get $250 in instant savings.
Plus, get a free facial analysis and gift.
Call 1-800-800-4603 or go online to lifestylelift.com.
Technology gives you security. Technology gives you control. And now, technology gives you home security and control in a new and revolutionary way. Introducing Plug and Protect from LiveWatch Security, an easy-to-use wireless security system customized just for your home, controlled from any smartphone, tablet, or computer, and monitored by professionals 24/7. Go to livewatch.com to get Plug and Protect interactive security delivered to your door. Arm or disarm your system from anywhere. Lock or unlock your doors. Turn your lights off or on. Even oversee your home with live video. With Plug and Protect, your security system is configured, tested, and then shipped directly to your home. No wires, no installers, just peel and place. Go to livewatch.com because with Plug and Protect, we customize your security to fit your home. The Plug and Protect secret is technology. With technology, you buy airline tickets without a travel agent. You trade stocks without a stockbroker. Now, with Plug and Protect, you can protect your home without an installer, pushy salesman, or a long contract.
Every day, the kids got out of school before I left work. I worried whether they were home okay. But then I found Plug and Protect from LiveWatch. And now I see when they open the front door, so I know they're home safe. LiveWatch helps me stay in touch and in control.
Founded by a paramedic in Kansas, serving tens of thousands of homes in all 50 states, and trusted by policemen and firemen throughout the country, LiveWatch is the new choice for home security. No door-to-door salespeople, no messy installers, no long-term contracts, just Plug and Protect. Now you too can enjoy the home security and control you want for your family. Try Plug and Protect in your home for a full 90 days. Included is our hassle-free guarantee. Go to livewatch.com. Plug and Protect is not available in stores, so go to livewatch.com right now. That's livewatch.com.
You have individuals that perhaps have never traveled anywhere in the Middle East who are radicalized online. You know, the latest edition of Inspire magazine, which is an online magazine posted by Al-Qaeda, includes detailed instructions on how to build a non-metallic explosive device, which you could theoretically get on an airplane or something like that. You don't have to travel to the Middle East anymore to become radicalized or to gain access to this information and ultimately to carry out an attack of this nature.
With Miranda Khan, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back, and we just heard from Senator Marco Rubio on CNN discussing the threat of radicalization online. Let's bring back in our guest, J.D. Gordon, former Defense Department spokesman. So we heard Senator Rubio outline that in fairly detailed language. Bottom line, how do we stop potential terrorist activity online, J.D.?
JD, there's two principal ways that I see. The first is that law enforcement and our intelligence authorities need all the tools they can to stop this from the get-go. So that's actually been weakened under President Obama. He's gone after the CIA. He's stopped their coercive interrogations. He's restricted our own law enforcement agencies from the type of surveillance they can conduct. That's got to change. I don't know if we're going to be able to change it during his term, but in 2016 we've got to change it. So law enforcement, intel authorities need all the tools. That's number one. And number two, JD, we've got to stop this radical Islamist ideology. You know, the West has defended itself against anarchism, Nazism, communism. The battle of our day is against radical Islam. We've got to identify it and go after it. We've got to pressure Saudi Arabia and Iran to stop exporting this toxic ideology, starting with rewriting their textbooks for kids, starting with changing their blasphemy laws, and putting real pressure on their regimes. We're not doing it. You know, at the palace in Riyadh, it's just another day at the office, essentially, every day.
JD, we've been hearing a lot of talk about lone wolves lately, and earlier this week we had former CIA analyst Fred Fleitz on America's Forum, and he said that he actually believes that these attacks illustrate a collaboration, if you will, between radical Islamist groups. Do you agree with his assessment?
Yes, I do. I think that anytime you have similar like-minded people out there that want to damage the United States and damage the West, they're going to pal up together on social media. So even though there may not be operational links as far as exchanging money or data, there's certainly that ideological link that they help communicate together. So I wouldn't even say they're lone wolves out there. I'd say they're part of a wolf pack. They may be attacking or biting someone on a given day by themselves, but I wouldn't really call them lone wolves. They're all part of this pack mentality that's trying to kill us.
Well, just a friendly amendment. As a proud NC State grad, Wolfpack is our mascot, so let's just call them lone rats.
There you
or
go.
a rat pack, with apologies
Fair
to
enough.
Dean
Okay.
and Sammy and Joe. All kidding aside, we had the arrest yesterday outside Cincinnati. The young man, 20 years old, apparently radicalized online. He had an Islamic pseudonym. Do you believe the takedown of this guy yesterday by the FBI is proof positive that our law enforcement domestically is paying close attention to what's happening on the internet with Islamic radicalization?
Yeah, JD, you know, they're paying as much attention as they possibly can. It's just that their hands are tied more than they were during the Bush administration. So, yeah, they're still doing a great job, but our law enforcement and intelligence authorities have to be right every single time. A terrorist just has to be right once. And Obama has been tying their hands from the FBI and the CIA on down. So that's dangerous.
It seems like a lot of these groups are strengthening in numbers since 9/11, especially since after we took out Osama bin Laden. What do you think is contributing to this increase?
Well, I think the fact that Islam is a powerful motivating force for them, and this radicalism spreads on the internet, it's a way to stand up to the man, if you will. I mean, look, there are crazy ideologues that have been trying to kill Western society, trying to kill Americans since we've existed. If you look at 1901, Leon Soglos, he was an anarchist. Well, he assassinated President McKinley. Lee Harvey Oswald, if he was alive today, he wouldn't be a communist, he'd be a radical Islamist. So I think radical Islam is a much more powerful force. There's 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. The Quran's a very powerful instrument. It's a much more powerful ideological motivator than communism, Nazism, and anarchism everywhere. So I think that's why so many people are gravitating towards it. And the fact that President
we need
Obama
to clarify,
can't even name that it's radical Islam, that's dangerous.
But JD, don't you think it's fair that we clarify? We say 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. We're talking about a select few. The vast majority of Muslims are not violent like the people that you've been describing.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's correct. Here's the thing, though communism and Nazism, anarchism, the other radical ideologies that were trying to kill the United States were less powerful. This radical Islam basically has hijacked a religion, if you will, a religion that's 1.6 billion. So even though, of course, most Muslims aren't violent, of course they're not. Of course, most of them just want to live their lives, raise their kids, have a good life, of course. However, that radical Islam is much more powerful than communism, Nazism, and anarchism ever were.
Fair enough. JD, we really appreciate your time. JD Gordon, former Pentagon spokesman, joining us there from Newsmax, Washington. When we come back, we'll have a chance to visit with a man who's a human rights worker, filmmaker, and author. His name, Jason Scott Jones. He shows up next here on America's Forum.
Attention veterans. If you're active military or retired, you're entitled to a money-saving government mortgage program called the VA Home Loan. PennyMac, one of the nation's largest VA mortgage lenders, is offering a way to lower your interest rate and monthly payment with no out-of-pocket cost to you. So if your current VA home loan is above 4.5%, get on board and call PennyMac, where you could save time and money. There are less obstacles because the VA Home Loan doesn't require any income verification for refis. And PennyMac has a streamlined loan that can close in 30 days or less. Don't own a home? PennyMac through the VA can also offer a home loan with no down payment and no mortgage insurance, which could save you thousands. Today's mission: call PennyMac to take advantage of this special money-saving program. Call in the next 10 minutes to get a free $50 Home Depot gift card when you apply. Call 800-591-4062, 800-591-4062, 800-591-4062, or go to PennyMacUSA.com.
Transamerica specializes in transforming the future for millions of families by offering affordable term life insurance that allows you to choose a coverage level that best fits your personal situation. Buying a home, childcare, family vacations, college tuition. Because of our financial obligations, it's easy to put off purchasing life insurance. That's why most Americans are either uninsured or underinsured. But no matter what life stage you're in, now's the time to start protecting everything you've worked so hard for.
95 million American adults do not have life insurance. This is not okay. You need to have the responsibility to take care of your loved ones if something happens to you. That's your job.
We're protecting families. That's truly how I see my job. It's my job to protect someone.
Transamerica is giving my kids tomorrow. They're giving them a future. They're going to be, if something happened to me or my husband, they would get their education. They would be taken care of.
Every customer has a name and a face. It is about those situations where there is a loved one that is critically ill. There's a loved one that's been in an accident. And that's when our customers need us the most.
Having life insurance takes the burden off of knowing what would happen if I wasn't there anymore.
Back years ago, I would have said it's a waste of money. Now I know better. Don't put it off. Do it today.
because you never know what's going to happen.
Transforming your tomorrow can start right now with one simple call. $100,000 of coverage can be as low as $12 a month, and $250,000 can be as low as $18 a month. Call now for a free quote to find out which plan works best for you. People trust Transamerica. We are the tomorrow makers. What can we make with you?
Call 1-800-530-0814 or visit discovertransamerica.com. That's 1-800-530-0814. Call now.
My name is Ed Berliner. I'm a host and a news anchor here at Newsmax. This country is desperate for a new voice to speak to that new generation that wants to know it all. Don't give me just half the story. Don't give me a piece of it. Let me get it all. Every single day, when people come to Newsmax, they're going to get an entire story. A new voice, a new generation. Newsmax TV.
The President of the United States has concluded that the war on terror has reached a point that we can safely release people from Gitmo. The best I can say about him is he's unfocused. That's delusional thinking. The war on terror has reached a lethal phase, and it is insane to be letting these people
to the dangers, or doesn't care.
Well, let me ask you about one of those factors you mentioned, nationalism. Now, it seems to me that a lot of these terror groups are not really international, they're extranational. By that, they don't pay attention to national borders. Tell me what you mean by citing nationalism as one of the causes of these problems.
Well, if you look at their call for a greater caliphate, it sounds very similar to the call for a greater Germany. There's so many parallels. It's striking. And today, to think that there are Jews that have to flee Paris just 70 years after their great-grandparents and grandparents were fleeing Paris, again, being chased out by rabid, violent, and brutal anti-Semites, this time not marching in from Germany, but flying in from, Syria, Iraq, Morocco.
And Jason, you've written a new book. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, the race to save our century started as I was 17 years old. I dropped out of high school and joined the Army. And I joined the Army because my high school girlfriend was pregnant. But while I was in basic training, her father had forced her to have an abortion. And I got a call from her crying, and I didn't even know abortion was legal. And this was devastating to me. Not only the idea that my child had been destroyed, my girlfriend was hurt, but that my country condoned the destruction of the child in the womb. And I wasn't a Christian. I was raised in an atheist household, an irreligious household. So this wasn't Christian sentiment, but sort of my natural understanding of the dignity of the child. And then as a young soldier deployed around the world, I saw poverty and violence. And I just began studying the 20th century. And I saw a lot of the same things. Now as a young undergraduate, I saw a lot of the same things happening in the world at that time that were happening at the turn of the 19th century into the 20th century. So I wanted to know, what were the causes of this? What were the causes of the total war, the genocide, and the democide in the 20th century, and they're still there. So what must we advance to create a culture of life?
Let's talk about those causes that you detail in your book.
Yeah, well, I think, we talked about racism and nationalism, but also utopian collectivism. The socialists in the 20th century, from the Soviet Union to Cambodia, from China to Venezuela, were responsible for mass democide. You have utilitarian hedonism, which you could say is the ideology of evil that most infects our society today. And it may seem harmless or benign, but when you think of the 1.3 million abortions a year, it begins to rack up numbers of its own.
Well, Jason, let me ask you something here, because we appreciate your time, but I'm just very curious. In addition to an overview of where we're headed culturally and socially as a planet, I'm interested in your personal situation after you went through the trauma of finding out about what was happening with your girlfriend when you were in basic training or in the Army. What happened to you personally? What made the change for you either during those years in the Army or immediately thereafter?
Well, at 17, as you can imagine, here I am, a 17-year-old private high school dropout in the infantry and an atheist, and I committed my life to protecting the preborn child from violence. I didn't even know there was a pro-life movement. So I just started going door to door on my own in the off-base housing near where I was stationed at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Little did I know that the folks I were talking to were migrant workers from the Philippines who weren't even citizens, but I was talking to them about abortion and asking for their help. I just thought I had to convince folks to be pro-life, and I would go door to door. Then someone from a local pro-life group called me, and for 13 years I was an atheist in the pro-life movement. But at 19, I made a 40-year plan on what I could do as one person to advance the dignity of the child in the womb. And then after 13 years, I became, a Christian.
Wow, so you've been through some major transformations in your life, and I know that that's kind of what you want to do, is help people through your book. You talk about the 5 core principles. How can that help people live a richer and fuller life like you say you are living now?
Well, I think that the first principle is that the human person is made in the image and likeness of God. And that was something that struck me. I was an atheist, and as an atheist, I can no longer find a source for the dignity of the human person without God. And then the Christian understanding, the Christian idea that the human person is made in the image and likeness of God is really the foundation, that every human being has an incomparable dignity, beauty, and worth. That's the foundation. And second is the transcendent moral order. And the transcendent moral order is the idea that there's a law above the laws of man, that posited law must correspond itself to. In the 19th century, the West, I
think it's safe to say the West lost its way. And we saw changes that began in the 19th century that bore bitter fruit in the 20th century, now on into the 21st century, which is why it's so appropriate, Jason Jones, your new book, The Race to Save Our Century, is worth reading. We thank you for your time, and when we come back, former Congressman Bob Walker. But now, a Newsmax Now update.
And topping your Newsmax Now update, the Obama administration unveils new guidelines today, making it easier for Americans to travel to Cuba. People will no longer be required to get federal authorization in order to visit the island. This as long as they're traveling under an approved category, such as a humanitarian or religious trip. In France, hundreds of mourners gathered today for the funerals of staff members killed during the attack on Charlie Hebdo. Al-Qaeda's branch in Yemen claims responsibility for that attack. Meanwhile, the Pentagon releases 5 Yemeni prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. 4 men are being sent to Oman, another to Estonia. And Bradley Cooper receives an Oscar nomination for his role in American Sniper. The film, based on a true story, is also up for Best Picture. I'm Miranda Kahn. We'll have another update coming your way at the top of the hour.
Have you written a book and want it published? We print and digitize your book and place your book for sale online and in bookstores everywhere. We'll get your book into bookstores now.
Call for your free author submission kit at 1-800-714-7935.
I'm back.
Hi, honey. How's Sue holding up after the funeral?
It's sad. The whole family was there, looking at photos, telling stories about Dan.
That's just what Sue needs.
That's just it. She doesn't budge from the kitchen or her stack of bills. This is time for family, not for money worries.
No life insurance?
Dan put it off. Now she's left to struggle. Jack, do you remember the life insurance we saw on TV?
Sure. Stonebridge Life. Sounded great. But we decided to wait.
I just found out what happens when people wait.
I just had surgery. Our rates will be through the roof.
No, remember, it's guaranteed acceptance. They don't even ask about health.
Well, let's call for more information. I'll get the number.
If you're 45 to 75, call now to learn about Guaranteed Security Life, modified whole life insurance with limited benefits for the first 2 years. Did you know funerals can cost over $7,000? And that's just the funeral. Would your family struggle, or will they have help? With Guaranteed Security Life, you can get $5,000, $7,000, up to $20,000 that could be used to help pay your final expenses, like funeral and burial costs, medical bills, and other debt. Rates start at around $17 a month, so there's a plan for everyone's budget. And Guaranteed means you cannot be turned down for any reason. This is the permanent, lifetime security you want for your family, with coverage that builds some cash value and is backed by the strength of a leader, Stonebridge Life Insurance Company.
Well, that was easy.
Rates were lower than I thought.
And now we'll both be covered.
Don't put off getting the life insurance you need. Call for Guaranteed Security Life today.
Call 1-888-262-4679 for more information about Guaranteed Security Life Insurance. That's 1-888-262-4679. 1-888-262-4679. Call now.
If you have Medicare and have a chronic breathing condition, you can take your medication using an inhaler. Or this, a portable nebulizer from Med4Home. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer may be more effective and easier to use than just an inhaler. Impressive. It's like getting hospital-quality treatment at home. So call Med4Home today to find out more. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy that's here to help you however they can. They'll deal with your doctor, the paperwork, even ship for free. And their pharmacists and respiratory therapists are available 24/7. What's more, your nebulizer and medications may even be covered by your Part B benefits. For a better treatment at a much better price, call Med4Home now to learn how a portable nebulizer can help you start breathing better today. For more information, call 1-800-243-3541.
On Midpoint, they sought to make a statement about turning the world to their religion. The French cartoon killers may have instead done the world a favor. The president preparing a major speech that will shock the world. Not really. Wins a State of the Union, no big deal. A national champion crowned in football, but the real win here is money. Let us ensure every baby boomer not only survives and thrives, as we have the secrets to more than just living. I'm Ed Berliner, where we question everything. Noon Eastern, Midpoint, right here on Newsmax.
Well, it's like having the fox guard the chicken coop. Don't be surprised if all you have left are chicken bones. Remember that Ted Cruz has gone on record as saying that he does not believe in global warming. That by itself is okay. The danger is that he will allow ideology to guide scientific policy, and that could be a dead-end disaster.
Might be going on right now. At any rate, Miranda Kahn there, J.D. Hayworth here, and you are watching us on America's Forum. We just saw Professor of Physics, Dr. Michio Kaku from the City University of New York, criticizing Ted Cruz's appointment to oversee the NASA budget.
Yeah, Senator Cruz was appointed chairman of the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Science, Space, and Competitiveness, which oversees the space agency.
Joining us now to discuss the senator's appointment is a guy who knows whereof he speaks. I served with him in the House. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Bob Walker, the former chairman of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. Bob, it's great to have you. We just heard Dr. Kaku talk about ideology guiding the NASA budget. Couldn't we say another ideology has been free spending on a science that is dubious, to say the least?
Well, I mean, really, spending on learning more about climate is not that bad an idea. But what we've had is science that has been mandated to go in a particular direction without the kind of scientific method that we usually use that allows the descent so that we get accurate science in the end.
Bob, a lot of NASA's budget goes to fund operations in Houston. So is it possible that he'd actually expand its budget to help the economy of his home state?
Well, my guess is that he will be a great advocate for NASA, given his home state. There we have a lot of the manned space operations, which is an area that we're attempting to expand through more commercial activity. So to have Ted Cruz advocating in some of those areas would actually put some vitality back into the space program.
And even as you talk about the change in the space program, we think about historically what was spent in the 1960s during the space race, and then by the NASA moonshots, about a penny of every tax dollar was going to space, and now it's far, far less. But I also think in another context about the man who said billions and billions, not of dollars, but of stars, the late Carl Sagan. His successor now on the new Cosmos, Neil deGrasse Tyson, had this to say. Let's listen to Dr. Tyson, then get your reaction, Bob.
Funding for science under Republican administrations has been historically higher than under Democrats. Knowing this, and knowing that innovations in science and technology are the engines of economic growth.
I may not agree with Dr. Tyson on some of the criticism he has for people of faith, but Bob Walker, is he spot on right there with his assessment?
Neil's actually a good friend of mine, and yeah, he is spot on. The fact is that even during the time when you and I were working to balance budgets in Washington, we managed to put additional money into research and development, and particularly into science and health research, and we expanded out the budgets while we were balancing the budget, because we do recognize that science and technology are engines for economic growth in the 21st century.
Well, Bob Walker, I can recall those days in the House, and there was a point in time where we were debating the International Space Station, and there was a mighty close vote on the House floor. Now, of course, that International Space Station is a reality. Bob, we're going to ask you to stay tethered to us, and we're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and talk about the ISS, about the supposed problems with an ammonia leak, and really our future in space. That and other scientific topics with a man of letters, a man of political science, and obviously the former chairman of the House Science Committee. There's more with Bob Walker when Miranda and I return with you on America's Forum, so stay tuned.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh yes, and that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new book entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new book, Don't Bank on It, now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
You know, just before retirement, I had that uh-oh moment. It is not a great feeling. I worked hard, I saved money, but then I realized I wasn't going to have enough.
If you're age 62 or older and facing a financial gap, your home's equity could provide greater financial independence. With recent changes to reverse mortgages, it's more important than ever to make a decision based on current facts rather than outdated information. If you think you know everything there is to know about reverse mortgages, the truth is you probably don't.
And I have to admit, I was skeptical at first based on what I thought I knew, but then I realized how misinformed I really was.
Many people are surprised to learn that today's reverse mortgages have been redesigned and can provide greater help to consumers. As a result, they can be an effective option to help fund the retirement you want. Call Reverse Mortgage Funding today for a free copy of Closing the Gap. It has the most current information about new products, including those designed to help you extend your retirement funds or to purchase a new home.
My reverse mortgage gave me the benefits of a home equity line of credit without the monthly loan payments, and they've made the process really easy.
Retirement and retirees have changed, and so have reverse mortgages. You owe it to yourself to see how today's reverse mortgages are meeting the needs of a new retirement generation. To find out how, call Reverse Mortgage Funding now and get the facts.
We based our decision on current information, not hearsay, which was really a smart move for us. It changed our entire retirement outlook.
Call toll-free 1-877-272-3738 for your free copy of Closing the Gap. There's no obligation, so call 1-877-272-3738 today. That's 1-877-272-3738. Loan terms and conditions apply. Visit reverseminded.com for details.
Since the 1930s, antibiotics have given man the upper hand against countless diseases. But now superbugs like Ebola are evolving. Has modern medicine helped create an even greater threat? Find out on Rise of the Superbugs on Newsmax TV.
The things you learn during the breaks. Now, I thought I knew Miranda pretty well, but I didn't realize she shared my affinity for Star Trek.
How can I not? I have the last name Khan. Come on.
Oh, yeah,
I know
but
you
Khan
wanna
was
say
one
it.
bad dude, the Wrath of Khan.
Well, I'm on the good side.
Understood.
Good
Well,
Khan.
what we're going to do is we're going to move now from science fiction to science fact. And that's why we want to continue our conversation with former Congressman Bob Walker, who, of course, is the former chairman of the Science and Space Committee in the House. The story yesterday about the International Space Station and a possible ammonia leak. Bob, what's the real deal? What are the facts on that story?
Well, it turns out that it was a computer error and it was not an actual leak. But the fact is, when the alarms go off on an ammonia leak in a contained facility like that, and you can have a total toxic atmosphere created, you get the astronauts out of there quickly, and they went and camped out in the Russian section of the space station for a while until they could determine that this was a computer error, not an actual leak.
So Bob, what precautions do astronauts have to follow under such dangerous conditions while they're up in orbit?
Well, it is a very hostile place to be, and the fact that we've had people on orbit for 14 years continuously says a lot about the engineering miracle that the space station really is. But they have a whole set of protocols that they go through as soon as the alarms go off. And in some cases, if there's space debris that they think might hit the station, they actually get into the capsules that are attached to the station in case they have to make a quick exit.
Space debris, another term for space junk. And yet, Bob, the problem is when it comes to manned vehicles for the United States, we're dependent on hitching rides with the Russians. Now, I know we had the rollout of the prototype of a return to manned space program or manned space flight with U.S. vehicles. Got to tell you, Bob, I took a look at the prototype for the new vehicle. It looked to me to be Back to the Future, like a giant Apollo command module. I realize the technology is eons ahead, but have we squandered our opportunities in space now, having to hitch rides with the Russians?
Well, we didn't have a good follow-on program when we decided to cancel the shuttle. I mean, we now have moved in the right direction, that we have commercial companies that are developing new space vehicles for us, and that holds real promise. SpaceX is not only developing a capsule, they're developing a launch vehicle, and that launch vehicle is what just delivered the last bunch of stuff to the space station that they need for their consumables. So we have some technologies that are beginning to prove themselves, and hopefully by about 2017, we will have the capability to put American astronauts on American vehicles again.
2017, that's great news. What else does the future hold for NASA? Because you just heard we're huge Star Trek fans, so we'd love to know.
Well, I think once we get an established American capacity to go to low Earth orbit, we can then begin to think about how we move further out. And we had Neil Tyson on there a few minutes ago. Neil Tyson and I have said to each other on many occasions that we want the capacity to be able to explore the whole solar system with humans in the future. And we ought to not just be thinking about going to Mars, although that's one of the destinations that a lot of people would like, but we ought to be able to think to go past Mars to places like Europa, where we think that if there's a chance that there's life that exists in our own solar system, that it may be on a moon of Jupiter like Europa.
Well, that's certainly an ambitious itinerary, Bob. We appreciate your vision. We hope that many in government service now will share it. We'll also watch with interest some of the private endeavors, and of course, we've seen the introduction of Project Orion to get our astronauts back into space, and we'll see if that happens within the next 2 years. Bob, we're not going to wait 2 years to talk to you. We'll have you back real soon. For now, thanks so much for the time.
Okay, thank you.
Bob Walker, Skyping in from Washington, D.C. When we come back, we follow the edict, leave you laughing, because the news can be tough, but there's the perfect remedy. Laughter is the best medicine, and the lighter side is straight ahead, so stay tuned.
Dates and addresses, tips and totals, names and phone numbers. Neat knows you've got a lot of information to manage. By separating what's key from what's clutter, Neat helps you get to the important stuff faster, so you can stop digging through documents and get back to work. Neat scans your documents into the Neat Smart Organization System. There, it reads the documents you have, unlocks the key information you need, and organizes it into the format you want. Neat knows how to capture information from digital files too, and documents become instantly searchable and usable with just one keyword.
Get your fun back.
Get Neat. Get to what matters.
Get Neat, as seen on TV Celebrity Apprentice. That's a Neat scanner, plus the Neat Smart Organization System for 30 days risk-free. You'll also get a free 30-day subscription to our Neat Premium service for even more advanced features. Call or visit your favorite retailer. Get Neat and get to what matters.
Meet Mary. She loves to shop online with her debit card. And so does Bill, an identity thief who stole Mary's identity, took over her bank accounts, and stole her hard-earned money. Unfortunately, millions of Americans just like you learn all it may take is a little misplaced information to wreak havoc on your life. This is identity theft, and no one helps stop it better than LifeLock. LifeLock has the most comprehensive identity theft protection available. If Mary had LifeLock's bank account alerts, she may have been notified in time to help stop the damage. LifeLock's credit notification service is on the job 24/7. As soon as they detect a threat to your identity within their network, they will alert you, helping protect you before damage can be done to your identity. LifeLock has the most comprehensive identity theft protection available, helping guard your social security number, your money, your credit, even the equity in your home.
My years as a prosecutor taught me that we all need to protect ourselves from crime. In today's world, that includes identity theft. It's a serious problem. We all have to protect ourselves.
While identity theft can't be completely stopped, no one works harder to help protect you than LifeLock. You even get a $1 million service guarantee. That's security no one can beat. You have so much to protect and nothing to lose. When you call LifeLock right now and get 60 days of identity theft protection risk-free. That's right, 60 days risk-free. Use promo code NOTME. Order now and get this document shredder to help keep sensitive documents out of the wrong hands. A $29 value, free. Don't wait until you become the next victim. Call 1-800-918-3128 for 60 days of LifeLock identity theft protection risk-free and get a document shredder free. Use promo code NOTME. Call 1-800-918-3128 now.
With Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth, about to close out America's Forum, and I was talking earlier about humor, something a little lighter. There are those who've been said that when we should part company, you should have jokes, kids, or animals. And
right. I
we
like
have
that.
We have an animal, a canine commuter from Seattle.
And you were going to love this story. Eclipse is a 2-year-old black lab who loves going to the dog park. And when we say love, I mean really loves. He goes there daily with his human best friend, and he loves going there so much, well, sometimes he doesn't even wait for his human friend. He just hops on the bus himself and meets up again a few stops later.
Our friends at KOMO, Como News Seattle, bring us the rest of the story in this morning's lighter side.
Of the tens of thousands of riders Metro Transit moves each day, few are greeted by a smile when they slobber on the seats.
She sits here just like a person does. She's a person, and all the bus drivers know her.
Meet Eclipse, a black lab bull mastiff mix who, like human riders, uses Seattle's buses to get around. She often roams the aisles of the D line looking for a seat and will hop up next to a stranger, which makes perfect sense for a dog who rides the bus alone.
She gets on and off by herself. She was most concerned just about being able to see out the window.
It was almost unbelievable to local DJ Miles Montgomery.
And I thought, man, oh man, this is nuts.
He snapped a selfie with the dog after seeing her solo ride firsthand.
So the dog gets off at the stop at the dog park and gets off the bus. And I just look out the window and I'm like, did that just happen?
This dog didn't start out riding the bus alone by herself. Like most great things in this world, it happened on accident.
She's been urbanized, totally. She's a bus riding, sidewalk walking dog.
The dog actually belongs to owner Jeff Young, who says it started with constant trips together to the dog park in Belltown. Before getting on the bus by their apartment, Jeff would stop to smoke. If the bus was there before he was done, Eclipse would take off without him.
We get separated. She gets on the bus without me. And I catch up with her at the dog park.
A dog amidst humans, a canine among commuters, proving even public transit apparently has gone to the dog.
She makes everybody happy. Like, how can you not love this face?
Oh.
Well, now, if you doubt the veracity of this, not that, I mean, I'm sure they checked and double checked the story. Actually, there is video, a point of view camera.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And
there it is.
There's the doggy cam. I wouldn't say Eclipse cam because Eclipse would mean we couldn't see it. No, we
I
can
like
see this
doggy
picture
cam.
fine.
Doggy cam. This is
Canine cam, the obligatory
better.
alliteration. And the dog just goes without Jeff, right? Just goes to the park if Jeff is having a smoke.
I mean, places to go, people to meet, you know, it's on a schedule. Dogs and cats are very finicky when it comes to schedule, you know, they're not going to wait around.
At our house, when I was a kid, we had a Scottish Terrier.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell you he could talk. He would growl in a way when it was mealtime.
Right.
He'd go, I want it. I want it. Then a slight variation, when nature called, he'd go to the door and go, I want out. I translated from Scottish canine, I want
and
out.
it actually, the dog could speak.
Now,
like
at your house, I understand that your dogs understand the language acutely.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, if I can just say, which she knows, she's going on a trip. She's watching this morning. Her face is probably going like this. Yeah, she knows. You
She
can't
knows the
even.
word trip, yeah.
She can be like in a complete slumber upstairs. You think she's sleeping. You can say something downstairs, just like at a whisper. Treat. Downstairs. I mean, they're so much smarter than we give them credit. I think a lot of times they're smarter and definitely more compassionate than some of our human counterparts,
Well,
for sure.
all I know is this, some four-letter words like trip at the Hayworth Hacienda with our new canine Lily, all Mary has to say is walk. And we're about to take a walk right now,
Yes,
but
we are.
waiting in the wings, Ed Berliner with Midpoint. That'll start at noon. He'll be followed by Steve Malzberg at 3. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 in the East, 6 in the West. Stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.